All right, looks like we're live. We're going to continue our test on Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons, and the first set of tests I'm doing is testing every infantry unit at 500 gold, with the exception of Regiments of Renown, to sort of see how they stack up. And I kind of ran into a dilemma at the end of last stream, is how I was going to test the Crypt Ghouls. Normally, I will test Crypt Ghouls or undead units until they start crumbling, until they hit minus leadership and then stop. Well, in this case, the Crypt Ghouls, I said, should be the absolute best unit in this lineup against Nasty Skulkers, because Nasty Skulkers have very low leadership and low armor. And the Crypt Ghouls dip into negative leadership for a very short time, and then they were winning the fight as coming back and causing the Nasty Skulkers to rout, because the Nasty Skulkers have low leadership. Crypt Ghouls have cause fear. So I think what I'll do is I will just let because these fights are all so close, so far they have all been very close. I mean, the Dwarf Warriors won 3 out of 7 against the High Elf Spearmen. Dwarf Warriors Great Weapons won 1 out of 7 against the Marauders of Great Weapons. They lost all 7 versus the Nasty Skulkers. They won 3 out of 7 versus the Crypt Ghouls, and they won only 1 out of 7 versus Men at Arms with polearms. So I will just let the Crypt Ghouls fight until they're essentially dead against just the 500 gold units. We'll look at how they stack up versus some of the other tests we're going to do, but I just wanted to state that's how I'm going to handle this set of tests, because I think it'll give the fairest evaluation. And undead units are hard to test as it is. I mean, they actually don't fit really well into this set of testing because of the nature of crumbling. But this is how we're going to do it. So we'll get this onto got the Nasty Skulkers here. I've got the Crypt Ghouls here. The Crypt Ghouls have actually a really nice weapon strength on top of everything and cause poison, but they have that fear. So we're going to start the battle, and I will rerun the test, letting the Crypt Ghouls crumble to 0 if needed. And we'll go from there. Okay, so I will start that battle. Okay, and I believe that fight started at 52? Yeah, it does. Okay, so we'll just let that fight go. And you can see the Nasty Skulkers actually win right off the get-go, but the Crypt Ghouls do come back. And the Crypt Ghouls are going to dip into negative leadership for a very short time. Right there, they dip into negative leadership. Then they're going to come back out of negative leadership to positive and rout the Skulkers. So here they end with 14 leadership and 17-12. So we're gonna go that route. So the Nasty Skulkers are still making a positive gain on that, and we'll see how the numbers roll out. So the Crypt Ghouls are going to win in this, but the Nasty Skulkers, those Crypt Ghouls are going to win the fight technically, but the Nasty Skulkers are going to win the gold battle. So 58-28 is where that ends. And as I said, this is where you're going to see every other unit, a lot of other units do much better than the Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons, because they kill so much faster. They even kill each other faster. Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons kill very slowly. I think that's a feature of the Dowie, though, and so we'll let that be what it is. So Crypt Ghouls finished with 17-12, and the Nasty Skulkers finished with 23-85. So here you can see that Nasty Skulkers actually took 40 gold off the Crypt Ghouls, but they lost. So the Crypt Ghouls won that. The end result being is if they got away, the Nasty Skulkers, and came back, I mean, they're probably going to win that eventually if they can get out of the way and come back, because they can get another charge in, and that'll probably be enough to finish off the Crypt Ghouls. But this is a one-off fight, and that's how we're going to actually manage that set of tests. Slightly different than I've done undead testing in the past. So I don't know if this will change the way I do undead testing in general, because I really don't like crumbling as a mechanic coming into into the DPS or damage per second calculation, but maybe I stop when they start disintegrating. I don't know. That might be a better number to give them a chance, because they only crumble for a very short period of time and then they come back and win. And that's really because the low leadership of the Nasty Skulkers really does get exposed in this fight in particular. And obviously, Nasty Skulkers get even more exposed if you add any missile pressure, rear charging, anything, right? That's, even though Nasty Skulkers are quite an awesome unit, they really do have their fair share of weaknesses, which we had a long discussion about. Which I think Nasty Skulkers in this 500 gold Pantheon are really the example. And once I get done the testing, it's probably something I'll present to the forums in a chat about not Nasty Skulkers or not Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, but Marauders with great weapons. Because the discussion on Marauders with great weapons was more about how they compare to the cheaper shielded version, which I don't know if that's the correct comparison. I think the correct comparison is to compare them to Nasty Skulkers, because they share a lot of the same properties, but Nasty Skulkers get around that by having stock, so they can get into the fights they need to get into. So 58, 52. Whoops, where am I? They won that. Okay. Let's say 58, 52. 58, 52 it is. So 1 minute they got that fight done. The Crypt Ghouls did. So Crypt Ghouls 26.97. And the Nasty Skulkers 28.56. When I get everything done, how I'm going to evaluate just these units fighting each other is I'll take the gold differential for every single unit versus every single other unit and add them up. And then when they are all added up, I'm going to be able to sort of rank order them, just out of curiosity. Hey, Rourke Boss. Yes, more testing it is. I do really want to go through and sort of clarify this in my mind a little bit better, so and understand it. Did you get a chance to watch Sub Commanders? Yes, that was awesome. What a great way to play the game in a 3v3. It was a fantastic way to play that game. Yeah, I like that little mini charge you did with your chariot right in the beginning too. That was really fun, but a really cool way to play the game. Really cool way to play the game. Okay, so we're gonna keep that going. Oh, okay. I have to remember, even though this is a test and chill stream, I have to get the test going and then talk. Start the test going, and I can talk while the test is running, rather than stopping to talk. I can effectively then achieve 2 goals simultaneously, chatting with everybody while getting a good test on. You can see the Nasty Skulkers win right off the get, and but once, like, the key thing is with leadership is once you, are they gonna win this? No, wait, they're just crumbling, they're not disintegrating. So we'll let it go. If they go to disintegrating, we will stop it. There. Okay. So they disintegrated. All right. So the Nasty Skulkers won. So 58-24. Okay. Crypt Ghouls 0. And Nasty Skulkers. Definitely Nasty Skulkers. How much health do they have left? For Christ's sake. This is why I got to be so freaking careful when you do this testing, that you don't lose your data set. Okay, why can't I get any click on these guys? Resume battle. No, I'm getting nothing. Frick. Okay, well, I'm going to have to just run it again, I guess. Maybe I gotta be extremely careful when they get under 500 health or something. I don't know. I gotta watch that. So the Nasty Skulkers won that, but I'm not going to get that data point. Okay, we'll get that fight going. Okay. All right, Jake Wu. Hey, Jake. It's been 300 years since I caught you live again, eh? Rook Boss, well, that's when I saw those Way Watchers. Ah, okay, that's what happened. And I was like, see ya. See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. And we're just going to stop. Okay. Now they're at 700. They're going to go into disintegrating and then they just die. So I'm going to actually just stop it there and say that the Nasty Skulkers have won that. Because it's just, there's no point in going any further. So 58-20. Okay, 58-20. Thank goodness. So it's Crypt Ghouls, 746. And Nasty Skulkers, 2108. And the Nasty Skulkers won. Okay. And see, because if I go, boom. See how fast when they hit that disintegrating, they were losing like just unbelievable health. So I don't know I wonder what at what level they start disintegrating, because that's an interesting thing for leadership. If you could cause them to disintegrate, because you see how fast they lost like their health in like 2 ticks, like 500 health. It's crazy. Okay. We're gonna rematch. Keep it going. And then I'll come back to chat. Okay. Fight going. Okay. Oh, I'm afraid you gotta say goodbye. Okay, Jake. You have a good one, eh? Oh, actually, no. Okay, I can stay. I remember. I see you were testing with the Zanganaz. Yes. Uzkalar. Zanganaz, yeah. Well, Zanganaz and Urks. Well, everyone's Urks, but the I'm actually testing Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. Now, I know it doesn't look like it in this test, but I'm testing them against all other 500 gold units. Holy, Crypt Ghouls won that pretty solidly. 58-56. Because I want to look at every 500 gold unit, make it fight every other 500 gold unit, and see where Dwarf Warriors with great weapons line up in that pantheon. And then we're going to test versus other units in the game, units that the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons should be the best against, and units that they should do poorly against, and just out of curiosity see where they line up. And it's all to support some forum discussion. I haven't been on the forums very long. Like, I used to be on forums all the time, but not the Warhammer forums. So I'm just trying to support a point that I've made with some testing. 2904. Okay, and Nasty Skulkers, 2933. That'll be minus or 21 gold this way. So the Crypt Ghouls won that. And we'll keep the fight going. Rematch. Rook Boss, I casted a VC versus Bretonnian game. Graveguards outclass every... Yeah, Graveguards against Bretonnia, just basic. They have anti-infantry. They have fear. They have that silver shield. They're only 750 gold. They are so good in that matchup particularly. I think that part of the problem with Crypt Ghouls is they're at 500 gold. I mean, you could say they're... like, I hate when people just say they're utter trash. I don't think they are. I think they have some things they can do, but in the lineup, they just don't cut it. They don't cut the mustard. Because there's other units that are around there that are better, are just better choices. So 58-52. And Crypt Ghouls finished with 28-14. And the Nasty Skulkers finished with 2900. Okay, Crypt Ghouls win. Okay, rematch. But you know, it's one of those things like Crypt Ghouls, though they actually have pretty good weapon strength and stats for their line. They are terribly vulnerable as a unit to pretty much everything. But, you know, potentially a 2 of in a build or a 1 of to do something very specific because they do apply poison, you know, or maybe they can sort of help. Yeah, help in one way or the other in certain matchups. Hard to say, really. And boom. Okay, 58, 27. 27. And we've got Crypt Ghouls with 2269. 69. And the Nasty Skulkers finished with 2207. Another win for the Crypt Ghouls. Okay, in that battle and rematch. Crypts are solid, but why spend 500 when you can go with 750 Graveguard? Exactly, and Graveguards are not only a little bit better, they're a lot better because they have armor and silver shields, and they have anti-infantry. Like, they are worth more than that 200. That 250 gold upgrade gets you so much, and that's what I say. And then if you want chaff, well, you have zombies or skeletons, so they're just in a weird place. Although there might be some niche uses for them, maybe. Thing is, they're pretty fast. 38 speed is pretty quick for an undead unit. You know, it's undead infantry anyways. I don't know. There might be some niche uses for them out there. There might be. 5831. Crypt Ghouls, we've got 2016 and the Nasty Skulkers 2342. 2342. Let's check that. 2342. Yep. Okay, so the Crypt Ghouls won 6 out of 7, but the Nasty Skulkers won the value battle by 12 gold. So the Nasty Skulkers actually lost the fight but won the gold war, which is really important. Okay, so who do we got? Who do we got next up? Actually, I should probably go in the same order I'm doing everything in, just to insert rows, insert rows, insert rows, insert rows, insert rows, insert rows. Okay, so we'll get the Heil Spearman next. Copy. So I just do everything in the same order. I'll give one space there. And then we've got Marauders of the Great Weapons. I'll set the rest of this test up. And then the Nasty Skulkers. Okay, Marauders Great Weapons, boom. And we got the Nasty Crypt Ghouls. Okay. So we can take this and go copy V, and we take the Crypt Ghoul starting health 5670, copy V. Nasty Skulkers are done, so we do this. Oops. Okay. And that. Okay, and okay. Good. So we'll get the date tested, copy V. So before this test started, I wouldn't have expected the Crypt Ghouls to beat High Elf Spearmen, but after seeing them beat up the Nasty Skulkers, I think they might. So we'll just save that. So we'll get the High Elf Spearman in there, and we'll go end the battle. Let's see. Okay, so go to the High Elves, grab the Spearman at 500 gold, because they only have 40 armor, but they have such good melee defense. It's such a hard one to think of. Okay, let me see. Orc Boss, Graveguard staying power is ridiculous. Yeah. Groth, Draxlayer, I'm awake for this one. Hey man, how's it going? Orc Boss. Okay, let's just first of all get the fight going, and then I'll read chat. Okay. Okay, let's just see. Boom. Starts at 50. So we'll say 50. I think a couple of things this test will probably result in is hopefully good data for the Marauder with great weapons, because I think they definitely, I think they need a little bit of love, but we'll see. So there we go, Spearmen, Crypt Ghouls, and we'll see how this goes. Crypt Ghouls think they're winning right away, even against that really high melee defense. Look at that, they're taking it to the Spearmen, like they really are. Let's look at chat. Rourke Boss, I can see they do well though. Put them in the far flank, work with Blood Knights just to kill faster in the rear. Yeah, that's a good way, Rourke Boss. Grothdrax there, 1 or 2 for poison. Yep. Ronan, hey everyone. Hey, how's it going, Ronan? Anon and Anon Anonymous and Nani324. Katya wanted to take on Thorgrim. Grombrindle early campaign strategy. Yes. Okay, so Grombrindle, first of all, my take on that is Grombrindle is just a superior lord in early and late game. I think you maybe know that, or let me read what the rest of your stuff is. Okay, just let me get this fight over with first to see where it goes, and then I'll just read the rest. I don't want to miss the route here. Okay, good. All right, so 54-26. Bit of a wet noodle fight, so it took a while. 54-26. Very, the Spearmen held up for a long time, over 5 minutes. The Crypt Ghouls, though, won. So Crypt Ghouls finished with 1307 health. And the Spearmen finished with 506. Crypt Ghouls won, and they pulled positive gold out of that, which is very, very good. Okay, so in that battle, rematch, and get the fight going. I'll get back to chat, and I'll read more of your question, Anon, just to make sure I understand what you're asking. I have been thinking about this as doing more campaign strategy videos, because I need to do one for Ungrim, and I need to do one for Belagar, and I need to do a new one for Mortal Empires. I just haven't gotten around to it. Okay, I take Silver Road, raise Carag Drawn, and bomb up north for Gunbad to take the second front, but I don't know about tech progression. Okay, well, Grombrindle's personal tech progression is all the blue tree first. You have to get his is all about getting the blue tree sorted out first, I think. And there's a when you take Grombrindle, just to get the extra chevrons when you hire new troops. And now raising Carag Drawn, you can if you want to. You can also essentially abandon Silver Road and go straight north and only build in Karazakarak and defend it, and then focus on taking Gunbad a little bit early. You still get your stop to get your Runesmith, obviously in the underground battle, but get up and take Gunbad as soon as you can, and then get over to take, I think what's the other? I can't remember the other settlement in that province, and then grow that province until you get the level 3, because that's like, honestly, Anon, that gold is just so strong. Launching you into the mid game and allowing you to feed your armies to go down and take Black Crag, to confederate with Barak Var, and to really create your early empire. Because all you need is 4 provinces, right? Silver Road, you need Barak Var so you can trade, and then you need Black Crag, and then you can recruit everything you need out of those 3 provinces with chevrons, and you have all the trade you're going to need, and then from there the rest of the campaign is pretty straightforward if you own those 3. So 55-50. Whether to use Grombrindle or Thorgrim is personal preference. Grombrindle is definitely stronger, but and not by a little bit. He's stronger in the early game. He's stronger in the late game. His blue tree is so good, and his buff. Now, when you talk about Grombrindle's buffs, 5550. His every 25 turns. Usually, I take the army, making the army cheaper buff, but I've done a few little quick runs with him to try and sort my head around how I'm going to do a strategy video. And his best one is the one where you get plus 10 melee defense and plus 10 melee attack for your entire army. Early, that's the one you want. Okay, 5550. So, good. Okay, Crypt Ghouls. 2500. And Heil Spearman, 955. 955. Crypt Ghouls doing very, very good here. Okay, in that battle. And as far as tech progression, your army tech progression is not as good as it used to be, but and even the top one, like it used to be, it kind of switched from game 1 to game 2, where you went to the top side of your tech progression instead of the bottom side. You went things that helped you with trade and everything else, and then because they nerfed the bottom side so much, now they nerfed the top side too, so it's not nearly as good as it used to be. So on the techs, I'm an advocate of getting all of your missile techs. So if you go to the very bottom of your tech tree, get all those ones, like the ones that buff up your Quarrelers, Rangers, and Thunderers, and the ones that buff up their chevrons when you buy them too. You get there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 techs. You get those 5 techs first and use that to back your armies early and on. And that would be my advice on the tech tree. The other side is I do really like Oath Gold and gearing up my troops. So I do try and pick up things that generate Oath Gold early as well. Okay. 2. Where are my royalties? Groth Draxler. Poison, though. I'll say it again. Poison is good. Okay, 5520. So we go 5520. Crypt Ghouls. 2091. Man, they're doing really good. But, Crypt Ghouls have all kinds of bad news to their story as well, because they are very easy to kill with in a million different ways, right? Crypt Ghouls 2091. Did I get that? Yeah. And Spearman 944. But they are beating the hell out of the Spearmen, and I guess they should, right? Okay. In that battle and rematch. Okay. Ronan, how's Bugman Rangers are in melee test? Have you tried any? Did you try any since they have good stats and regeneration? Ronan, I have. I did a number of tests with Bugman's Rangers about a year and a half ago against the Lizardmen when I was testing backline stuff, and testing them just straight up without shooting into things like feral carnosaurs, feral whatever they are, and some cav. So they're very good at taking a charge without getting instantly routed and beat up, and they're okay in extended combat because they have that 38 melee defense, but you still don't want them to be fighting stuff in general. They can hold their own until they get help, and the best thing is if you get them out of that stage, they start regenerating, and where you really see that is near the end of the game. They'll have an extra 20 models, so they have an extra 20 arrows, and then they're really, really strong at the end of the game, because once all their arrows are done, they're still regenerating and can still fight. Bugman's Rangers they're so good. They're so good. But all the rest of the Dowie backline are extremely good as well. So even though they're probably one of the best non-AP missile units in the entire game, in the Dowie lineup, they're just really good instead of a must pick in every matchup. because the Dowie have so many great backline units. And that said, that's something to say about how good the Dowie backline is, where Bugman's Rangers are probably the best in the game at non-AP missiles, and they don't get picked every match. That's how good the Dowie backline is. So 55-20. Another 55-20. Okay, maybe we'll have a repeat here. It's pretty rare. Nope. 1838. And the Spearmen finished with 930. These look like pretty stable results. I don't think the Spearmen are going to take a fight here. And on, I meant technology, not traits. I always go blue for early levels. Yeah, so blue on Grombrindle, red tree on Thorgrim. And, don't worry about their yellow tree until very late. Like, I go red tree Thorgrim, maybe pick up a few things here and there, and then go and get his lightning strike. And it's easier to get lightning strike on Grombrindle because you get his blues early. I don't get lightning strike on all my lords in campaign. I usually only get it on 1 or 2. And those are the units that I save for the chaos invasions. So they're going to kind of head up the defense against the chaos invasion, is the 1 or 2 units that I have with lightning strike. Otherwise, it's a nice to have, but it's not useful enough to go and get it on every character. There are other traits that are very good for just the one-on-ones, which you have more of, or the supporting fights. And on volley fire and ammunition wagons, yep, those are the ones. Gross Draxlayer, Bugman's beat Lothern at range. Bugmans are amazing. This is my opinion. I have not tested this to say, but my opinion are the best non-AP ranged in the game. Ronan, that's good. I asked because I was thinking about a meme build with Bugman's Rangers in the front and Thunders and some Warriors as backline and mid defense. Interesting. Huh. That could work. Like if your Bugmans, like the thing is, your Bugmans can get a little beat up, but then after they get beat up, if you could, even if they're routing, if you can save them, so you could kind of use them for a front line or kind of an outside wide line. But I wouldn't want to keep them in extended combat. So if you're gonna use a meme build, Ronan, what I would suggest is you can keep your Bugman Rangers out front, back them up with miners with blasting charges. So if they're going to get charged in with infantry and stuff, what you do is you let that charge come your way, you get off your blasting charges with your miners with blasting charges, then you pull your beat up Bugman Rangers back, replace them with the miners to hold them back the whole time while your Thunders are going to town. And then you take your Bugman Rangers all the way to the back to let them regenerate their model so they're much better in the late game. Something like that might work. 55-12. Okay, 278. Crypt Ghouls are just eating these Spearmen up. Crunching them. So, what do we got? 1984. 1984 was a very good year. It was, 1984. I was already a teenager by then. I think that might have been when I got my first computer. Was it 84, 85? Somewhere in there. I had my TRS-80. It was awesome. 951. 1. Okay. And we've got, okay, how much gold? Okay, 2 more tests here for these Spearmen rematch. Okay. Oh, JBEC's playing. Cool. All right. Let me see. Go back. Okay. It's gonna Okay, Anon, I don't play vanilla, just to clarify. Oh, you're playing SFO Grimhammer. So I'm thinking of playing a Grimhammer campaign, Anon. I really am, which adds a lot of interesting. I have played a little bit of it, and I do like the changes. And I do want to play a campaign with it. Ronan, main problem are chariots, though. That's the main problem against every dwarf build, though, isn't it? I mean, if you go all out and you're ready for chariots, then you're susceptible to everything. I mean, that's the bane of the Dowie. Ronan, I mean, the only thing you can do against chariots, when a build like that, is make sure you bring a rune lord and a rune smith, both with rune of wrath and rune. Double rune one of the chariots and focus it down with your thunders, because you double rune a chariot, it'll bring its speed down to 9, its run speed down to 9, and then you can at least try and focus them one at a time. But chariots will plow through that build, of course. But if there's only 2 chariots, you might be able to manage it. If it's sort of like a mass, like 4 chariots, I mean, you're just, I don't know how you beat that. 55-46, but you might. Like the thing is, Bugman's Rangers have charged defense against chariots. Just point your Bugman's Rangers at the chariots. The chariots will plow through them and knock them over, but they won't do a ton of damage to them. Because they do have charged defense against large. 55-46. So, but you have to focus. You'd have to focus down one at a time, all the way down, because a chariot gets to the back line like that. You're right, and I mean, to just crush it. 27-48. 748. Spearman 939. Oh, Gould did very, very good there. One more battle and this Ghoul matchup is over. Anon, Grombrindle may be way better in it too. I see. Okay, because Iron Drakes are amazing. That is one of the reasons why I want to play SFO, because they've changed some of the units to make them make more sense. I like the philosophy they have behind their units in SFO Grimhammer. Sort of the ideas. And mods are there's so much work that goes into mods, and I know I modded myself with Medieval 2. I mean, you have to work hours and hours just for the tiniest little thing, and then you got to try it and balance it, and it's a really tough thing to do, which takes a massive amount of work to get even the smallest thing. But they stated their philosophy up front, and I love their thinking. So I do want to play it and try that mod, because I love the thinking behind it, and I have played a little bit of it, just a little bit, like maybe like 15 turns, just to try it. Iron Drakes are amazing. Even better unbreakable than Peak Gate Guard hammers that only Thorgan gets at murdering. Okay. Groth Draxlayer, hate SFO, but I played Dark Elves and it ruins the slaves. Gotcha. Okay. Groth sues the Dwarf Daddy confirmed. Well, a long beard. Just a long beard. Very old, but and very grumpy. And very stubborn. That's me. Groth, old and technologically advanced. Yep. old and grumpy. Okay, 54-58. But I was an early adopter of technology for a dwarf, for sure. 292. Crypt Ghouls finished with 1887, and Spearman finished with 986. So there you go. The Ghouls taking it to the Spearman, pulling 102 gold off them. That's a result I would expect. I would think the Crypt Ghouls should beat a Spearman in a straight up infantry fight. So now we're going to do Crypt Ghouls versus Marauders with great weapons. And again, this is another battle I would expect the Crypt Ghouls to do well in, because the Marauders don't have any armor, right? So we'll get out of there. Let me see. Groth Draxlayers, Giant Slayers for chariots. In my opinion, I always bring 2. The problem with Giant Slayers is you have to have a way to slow them chariots down and get your Giant Slayers into that. So no matter what, you're always going to need the double rune of Wrath and Rune. In my opinion, I think that's why it's so that's the only competitive I think those are not the only, the most competitive Dowie picks for that reason, for leadership. Okay, so where was I going to go? I was going to go to Warriors of Chaos, and I was going to go and grab the Chaos Marauders Great Weapons. Okay, the Chaos Marauders Great Weapons. And I would expect the Crypt Ghouls to beat the crap out of the Chaos Marauders Great Weapons, because the Chaos Marauders Great Weapons have armor piercing and no armor. This is like an outstanding target for the Crypt Ghouls, right? Okay, get in there, get that fight started, and boom. I will say 51. They're both pretty quick. 51, copy. Okay, and we'll get the fight going. Groth, Draxlayer, double slow rune is almost mandatory, yeah. Ronan, I'm going to start your Belegar Legendary campaign. Keep up with the test. See ya. Hey, have a good one, Ronan. That is a tough campaign. That is a tough campaign. Oh my god. These guys are going to win. I'll let them get down to 500. But I'm really shocked. We're going to let them get down to about 500. Boom. Okay. Yeah, these guys are good leadership. So 500, like if you let them get down a little past there, they hit that disintegrating, and then they lose like health in like 300 ticks. So we'll stop the fight there so we don't lose our data. 58-20. All right, so 58. And here I expected the Crypt Ghouls to beat the crap out of the Marauders with Great Weapons, but not going to happen apparently. Crypt Ghoul finish with 668. Marauders with Great Weapons finished with, you know what? It's probably Marauders with Great Weapons. What they do have is a lot of health. So they finished with 1690. There we go. That is a loss. And just to show, if I try here, see, this is so irritating. So I'll keep my here because I just want to see if I'm fast enough to stop it when they start disintegrating. Boom. See? That's the problem. As soon as I saw this disintegrate show up, I stopped it and I would have lost all my data. So it's just, I just can't, I'm not fast enough to do it. I mean, you know what? If I get back into modding, I'm going to mod so I can test. I'm going to make it so I can run the test at, 4 times this speed, and that the test automatically stops when one unit goes below 0 leadership. And then, then I'll get some kind of AI to get my data for it, and I can just let it run tests all day and all night. See defeat. Rematch. Okay. Groth Draxlayer. Ciao. You have a good one, Groth. And on. Got 950 kills with Iron Drakes using all ammo against, wow, big guns. Heavy army stack. Nice. Iron Drakes are fun. They're fun in campaign and they're fun in multiplayer. They're a good unit, actually. They just don't have any arc of fire. So you got to work to get them their lanes, but they kill armored infantry just as well as they kill low armored infantry. They're a really good unit. Okay. We're going to see about our Crypt Ghouls, if they hold up here. So, okay, now it looks like they're winning. Here's the result I expected. Okay. 5901, and they get the job done so fast. 5901, 50 seconds they won that. 3202 for the Crypt Ghouls. And the Marauders Great Weapons finished with 2605. Crypt Ghouls won. All right. In that battle or rematch. All right. There we go. And boom. Yeah, so if they get the upper hand off the charge, They really seem to take it home. So 5904. Crypt Ghouls 3208. Marauders 2546. And boom, another win. Oops. Okay, keep that going. Rematch. I'm definitely surprised they won one at all. I would have expected them all to be like these last two fights, where the Crypt Ghouls just kicked the tar out of them, but, you know. Yeah, it looks like Crypt Ghouls are winning this too. Yeah. Crypt Ghouls are going to win that. And boom. Not looks like not quite by as much though. How much, what's the time? 58:46. 58:46, 65 seconds, 23:80. And the Marauders finished with 22.92. 47 gold. It is nice that these you know, these tests do go by a little bit faster because these guys kill each other pretty quick. Anon. Now, if I could stop the CTD in taking of Gunbad literally every time. CTD. I don't know who CTD are. Is that so? Are you talking about the Dwarf clan, the Zufbar Dwarfs? Stop the CTD and the taking of Gunbad. Oh, crash to desktop. What? You crashed to desktop? Huh. There was a little while I had some mods that I was having some crashing problems. This is gonna be close. This one's very close. And there we go. Groth. I just got out of bed. Walk downstairs to show you this. Cool. So 5811. Steam images. So 5811. 5811. Here we go. 5811. 5811. Okay. Crypt Ghouls. We've got 1542. 1542. And Marauders with great weapons. 1196. Much better there. 1196. Well, 51 gold. Those Marauders with great weapons have a ton of health. They really have a ton of health. It only happens in the Gunbad siege attack. I know if there's ever been a criticism of SFO that I've seen is that a lot of people say it's a bit bloated. It has a lot of moving parts to it as a mod. Does it Gunbad have a special? Is there a special element of Gunbad where it has its own special map in one of the sub mods of SFO? I know SFO I want to play for the mod, but I also want to play it for all the sub mods it has, because I want to play because it has the Southern Realms sub mod, so you know it'd feel like that Kislev. I mean, there's like all kinds of cool sub mods, which is one of the other reasons why I want to play it. But I know there is a lot of mods out there that have to do with modifying holds and keeps and stuff like that. Oh no, it doesn't. It's not a special one. Well, that is weird then. Must be probably some strange interaction somewhere, hey? 5850. You never know exactly, like when you mod, you never know what your mod's actually going to interact with. You never can tell, right? 2559. 2559. 2104. And if that's your only crash to desktop you're getting, then it has to do with one of those mods. But how would you ever find out? I don't even know. It'd be virtually impossible, actually, to figure it out. Rematch. Anon, have you played the Crack a Drac mod? I know I really want to play that mod as well. Crack a Drac and Anon. I've been talking with their tech support on Discord. Yeah, it's always during a quarreler volley, like 20 minutes into the timer. What? That is truly odd. So it's like during a quarrel, like maybe I could see a crash to desktop when you end the battle or you win it, or you know, a gate opens or something. But during a quarreler volley, that is the weirdest thing. And that castle isn't too, like, Gunbat isn't like supremely complicated or anything either. It's not like some kind of super weird, complicated settlement. 5845. 5845. Crypt Ghouls finished with 2495. 2495 and or 2459. 2459. Made a mistake there. 2459. And Marauder's Great Weapons finished with 2264. Whoops. There we go. The Crypt Ghouls beat Marauder's Great Weapons 6 out of 7 and pulled 52 gold off of them. Alright, makes sense. So now we got the Nasty Skulkers. Who's after that? Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms. I guess this is the last one. Copy, and then we'll have the Crypt Ghouls done. Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms, so that'll be copy V. We got this. And we obviously don't know what that's going to be for the win and loss. We need Crypt Ghouls here. And Crypt Ghoul health here. Okay, that's all correct. So now I need to go get the Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms. So they should mop the floor with Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms. Even more so than against the Heil Spearman. Anon, I took a look at Crack a Drac. Okay, I hesitated because I wasn't sure how I could confederate them in SFO. To be frank, okay, before the quarters was whenever I used the gyrocopters. Weird. Gross Draxler, am I still your Vortex intro? Yeah, of course you are. I haven't been able to keep up. Yeah, that series is done now. The Vortex campaign. You're in the intro of every one. Your voiceover. Continue. Okay, so now we need to get this one. Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms. Okay. Crypt Ghouls. Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms. Okay, we'll start that battle. Crypt Ghouls should kick the crap out of the Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms. Although the Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms beat our Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons. Anon, I'm hugely in favor of the notion of communities of uncorrupted Norskins, though. Yep. Well, in the lore in the south, I mean, maybe they're not precisely corrupted, but they're certainly willing to trade with trade and do stuff like that. Okay. Oh, I didn't get a start time. Yeah, these Crypt Ghouls are kicking the snot out of them. It's 20 to 1, so a 10 to 1 ratio. Beating them very, very badly. And this is sort of the matchup that Orgabos was talking about. Like, Crypt Ghouls beating up all the Bretonnian infantry is great, but, you know, they're still not nearly as good as their Graveguard. Because Graveguard have silver shield and anti-infantry and 90 armor, so they really kick the crap out of Bretonnian infantry. And I can't believe they are not routing. Okay, there we go. They held on for a very long time, though. 5639. I'm going to call that 50. We'll go double check it. 5639. 39. Crypt Ghouls finished with 2992. And Men Arms with Full Arms finished with 1122. 1122. 169 gold they pulled off them. Very, very strong performance by the Crypt Ghouls there in that battle and a rematch. There we go. Okay. Grostraxlayer, the uncorrupted Norskins all move south or into Krakadrak, okay? Hey, Orcaboss, you're back. Hey. Anon, paraphrase, Ulrich worshipping Norskins fighting at the side of the bizarre throwback psychos in Krakadrak. There is so much interesting lore and culture to be explored with Krakadrak and the non-corrupted Norskins. Because it's that it is really that sort of Viking mentality, and so that they could go so far with that. It saddens me so much that Games Workshop sort of pulled the plug on Warhammer Fantasy, because they have so much more to explore. Like, it's just like, it's not like there's like a little bit, but they have so much more to explore in Warhammer Fantasy, and they just sort of, I don't know. I get that they wanted to have a new game and a new revenue stream and everything else like that, but you didn't have to pull the plug on Fantasy to get it. Shit. They could be churning out new armies and new models still for Warhammer Fantasy. Cathay and Ind and Nippon. They could have done a whole, new set for Krakadrak, the Amazons, Albion. They just could have continued to crack out new units and new armies and new lore for in perpetuity, forever. It's just like when Coke, went with the new Coke and they didn't tell anybody. It was just bad marketing. But the beauty of fantasy is, I have a feeling someday they're going to bring back Warhammer Fantasy at Games Workshop, because I think Total War has been such a success. They're probably already thinking about how to bring it back, and it might start with Cathay, because Warhammer 3 Kingdoms has been so successful in China. I think Warhammer Cathay would also be very successful, and it would be awesome. 5650. So Games Workshop might just go back and pull the plug on the end times and say, sprinkle their fairy dust and call it all a bad dream, or an alternate reality, because you can do that. It's the beauty of fantasy. It's just the stroke of a pen, you can change everything. 2743. 2743. Men at Arms with Pole Arms. We got 1072. 2. All right. We got 1. Jeez. Men at Arms with Pole Arms are getting their tails whooped by them Crypt Ghouls. Okay. And the battle rematch. Oh man, okay, so I gotta get back here. Okay, I'll get this fight started, and I'll try and go and catch up with chat. Okay, now if only you could, okay, hugely favor the notion community, uncorrupted Norskins, rephrase, Anon, Games Workshop treats most Norskins like they're Lord of the Ring orcs, being totally irredeemable. Sigmar literally trying to genocide them. Yeah, Groth, if you do any Dark Elf tests, you should tell me. As you know, I did my own Bleak Swords, but found them to be underwhelming. Yeah, Bleak Swords are really underwhelming. You are correct there, Groth Draxlayer. Rourke Boss, I think CA did a really poor job with Grimgor Ironhide. Boy, oh boy, did they. Jake Wu, are we talking about the lore? A little bit, Jake, a little bit. Groth, everyone hates Age of Sigmar, and if you disagree, please stab yourself in the everything. Well, the end times, you know, it was just and it's not even only that they did that. I get why they did it, and I understand, but the stories were bad. You know, the deaths weren't bad. They weren't epic enough, and they didn't. It's like, I think that's what pissed everybody off, is the way their favorite characters died. Like the way Thorgrim Grudgebearer died makes me want to smash things. You know, it's unbelievable. 5633. This is not how the King of Dwarfs should die in any story. I don't care. You know, he's not fighting anyone. You know, it's not anyone super famous in the whole Skaven world either that killed him. It wasn't an epic showdown. You know, it was just, you know, like really irritating. That's what it is. 2876. 2876. 892. All right. Keep things going. Rematch. Jake, did you watch Lore Master Sotek's latest dwarf Q&A? Which I thought was freaking amazing. Like everything Lore Master does. Okay. Wish dwarfs could have their thunder barges. Oh, yeah. Grimgor is a total chump in vanilla, but I think he's super dangerous 101 in SFO. Okay. Jake, we wish dwarfs could have their thunder barges. Absolutely. Groth. A lot of it was copyright, though. I see. Jake, war zeppelins, maybe golems, but lore-wise, so no, though. Okay. Groth. There was a whole thing with Chapter House Studios for 40K for a model they didn't produce, but had rules for. I see. Games Workshop should just discard the end times non-test. I agree, Jake Wu. Agreed. That's exactly what they should do. Just take the end times nonsense and get rid of them. Anon, Total War Warhammer 3, Ogres, Chaos Dwarves, Chaos Reed, Kurgan, Cathay, My Dream. Yeah. I think, now I've been thinking about this carefully, Anon, and what I think is going to happen is in Total Warhammer 3, they're not going to do Cathay. They're not going to do Ind, and they're not going to do Nippon. They might refer to them because if Games Workshop and Creative Assembly are thinking clearly, they will figure out that they're going to be able to make a standalone game with Cathay, and a standalone game with Ind, and a standalone game with Nippon, and then they're going to come back around for the second round of Total War Warhammer in, 10 or 15 years from now, and they'll have everything. So I think Cathay is coming, for sure, just not in this first iteration of Total War Warhammer. I think we'll see the Amazons, Araby, the Southern Realms, Albion, Ogres, Hobgoblins, the Chaos Gods, the Chaos Dwarfs, and, some few other things, but we're not going to see Cathay, Ind, or Nippon. I think those are going to be standalone games, or they might be a standalone series where they do the entire eastern edge of the map, where they do Cathay, Ind, and Nippon in their own series. Because that'll make a ton of money. It'll be incredibly successful. Okay. Whoops. I'll go slow. Okay. Gotta catch up with chat here. Rookbox. Grimgor lore would literally cut through everything else with ease. Yeah. He was killing dragons, ogres with single swings, and he doesn't have anti-large. I know it bothers me. Groth, I hate Primaris 2. I don't know what that is, but this edition has been good on my Dark Elder. Oh, is that 40k? Jake Wu, the end times for the Dowie made me very sad. Same here, Jake. I feel exactly the same. And on Thorgrim, oopsie doopsie, I left myself open for no reason. Yeah, I know. God, that drives me nuts when I think about that. Really drives me nuts. Jake Wu, the dwarfs were struggling real bad against the Skaven during the end times. Yeah, and I could see, this is the eternal story. This is the story of the dwarfs since the War of Vengeance is a slow decay of society as a whole, and it wouldn't surprise me that Skaven would ultimately have the upper hand for a lot of reasons. But just the way Thorgrim's death in the end times is really it enrages me. And on the real post-apocalyptic scenarios, Thorgrim dying and Alaric Ranulfson being the next king, cause everyone else is dead. Yeah. Groth, Khazador, Draxlayer. Okay. Sorry, 56-27. 56-27. Let's keep this going. 56-27. But this game has legs. This game, Total War, Warhammer, is in the next 20 years, it's going to have one series after another. It's a guarantee. Crypt Ghouls, 29.69. And Men at Arms Polearms, 11.58. Unless either Games Workshop or CA get too greedy, which is always a possibility. It's just like Spider-Man and getting back out of the MCU now. Like, frick, they finally got a good Spider-Man in Tom Holland, and now they're taking him. Sony's taking, is it Sony or whoever it is, taking him out of the MCU just because they think they're going to be more successful, but it will go back to being not as successful. They don't realize how much if the MCU can make Captain Marvel successful, I mean, that's how powerful that franchise is. Like, Spider-Man's going to go back to being like, okay. 56-27. Okay. Jake Woos. Plus, the dwarfs refused to advance fast enough, which has contributed to the downfall. Yeah, it's been a long, slow grind, Jake. I mean, that is the Dowie, right? It is really a tragedy. In every way a tragedy can be defined, because the dwarfs, it's not like the Skaven are the downfall of the dwarfs. The dwarfs are the downfall of the dwarfs. That's, and it's not the dwarfs willfully causing their own downfall. It's through their very nature. That's the tragedy of it. And that's why it's a great tragic story. And there's so many great tragic stories to be had. This is the beauty of the potential stories that still are available to Games Workshop in Warhammer Fantasy. So many stories left. Groth. Malekith caused everything bad in the world that isn't chaos, but he weakened every defense against chaos. Yeah, Groth. I mean, he indirectly caused Nagash. And on Malekith didn't wiggle his nose and cause the old ones to break the whole World's Edge Mountains. That's true. And on the man Toad Hitler has Monday to blame there. Yeah, Groth. He literally started the War of the Beard, broke the dwarf deathbed, promised the dwarf had to get back up again. It's true. Malekith is a great iconic character, But I don't know. I think the Dowie are the downfall of the Dowie. That's the downfall. That's why it's a tragedy, is because it's inevitable. There's no way around it. It's like a tragedy that you see coming from forever away, but you can do nothing to avoid, which makes it more tragic, in my opinion. 56-46. Okay, 29.89. 29.89. Men at Arms with Pole Arms, 12.01. Okay, 12.01. And those Crypt Ghouls are doing extremely good in this fight. Okay, rematch. Anon. That is funny. All right, get in there and fight. Get it done so I can get your data. Groth. The dwarfs aren't on a decline, though. Yeah, the dwarfs have been on a major decline since the War of Vengeance. They're on a massive decline. A decline that could be stopped so easily if the dwarfs weren't dwarfs. Okay, come on. Get her done, Mare boys. Get her done. Okay. 5709. Alright, it's the fastest one so far, yes. 3109 for the Crypt Ghouls. Crypt Ghouls are doing alright. 1148 for the Men at Arms. One. Okay. In the battle, a rematch. They're reclaiming it all an inch in a year. And I really think the Games Workshop's biggest storytelling problem is that everything has to be decay, grimdark at all times. You know what, Anon? I think 40K's influence on Warhammer Fantasy is unfortunate, because Warhammer Fantasy is not grimdark. It is about heroes, and there's a lot of great heroic stories in it. Whereas 40K is its own genre. The concept of this grimdark, it really is its own genre. And I try to listen to 40K stories because I like Arch Warhammer. I mean, I like Luton. I like a lot of these people that are so good at giving 40K lore and talking about it. But I can't get into 40K because there are no heroes in 40K. And because everyone's evil. There are no good guys in 40K. Just none. Everyone's a bad guy. Even Space Marines are the worst. They're super cool, agreed, but they're evil. Like, everyone is objectively evil in the whole 40K universe. There's nobody who's good, and that's why the stories are not compelling to me. Now, this is not to say that it's not an interesting idea, because it's its own genre. Like the idea of sort of this, there is only war. What would that mean over, 10,000 years, 20,000 years, if that was all there was, right? And, so what would societies look like? What would the universe be like? What would the beings that survived in such a universe think like? It's an interesting idea. And I mean, I hope their TV series works really well. And for every good reason, I hope their stories take off and do extremely well. And like 40K has done really well. I hope it continues to do really well. And I wish them all the business success in the world. But the ideas behind 40K are not the ideas behind fantasy, and they got mixed up somehow. Within the tragic story of the dwarfs as a race, there are many heroic sub-stories in there, and so many great stories to be had. 5644. I do think there's going to be a resurgence of fantasy, because I think the next big thing is I bet you CA and Games Workshop work on the next Total War Warhammer series with Cathay, Ind, and Nippon, and maybe some other new factions, and they create new army sets and new rule books, and they have like a Warhammer Fantasy revisited, and they go back and look at the stories, and they bring some authors in and do books and stuff like that. I think that's going to happen. There's just too much money to be made for both companies not to do it. And if there's one thing about a company that is true, they will always be looking at their bottom line. Crypt Ghouls, 26, 24. And there's going to be no one that's too proud to retcon the Warhammer Fantasy world to bring back fantasy, to make money. Especially with the opening of the Chinese market. Oh my God. The Chinese market has been such a massive boon for video games and, well, for everything, actually, to be truthful. But Men at Arms, so these guys, 26, 24. Men at Arms, pole arms, 1077. Okay, So the Crypt Ghouls won all of them, and they took 163 gold off the Men-at-Arms with pole arms. So Nasty Skulkers technically pulled gold off the Crypt Ghouls, but they lost all their fights. The Marauders of Great Weapons lost gold, only won one of those fights. Man, the Crypt Ghouls are what they lost 1, 2, and how many did they lose to the Dwarfs? Warriors of Great Weapons? 3. So they won 5 fights total. The Crypt Ghouls, not bad for a unit that's quote unquote trash. I think they're. I mean, they got their problems, but they can also obviously do pretty well. So the next unit I want to test to finish this up, Nasty Skulkers. I think Nasty Skulkers are pretty strong. So, and we'll test those Nasty Skulkers versus Spearmen, Marauders of Great Weapons. Copy. And Spearmen, Marauders of Great Weapons. And Men-at-Arms with pole arms. Copy. So where's my Nasty Skulkers? Nasty Skulkers health is 6240. Copy. Okay, and down here, Nasty Skulkers health V. We'll go with Nasty Skulkers. Copy. V. Get rid of this. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2. Okay, there we go. Okay, Nasty Skulkers versus Spearmen, Marauders, and Men-at-Arms with pole arms. And 6240 is their health, so let's go and get that going. So, in the battle, we'll get our Nasty Skulkers. Just check chat real quick. Okay. Well, I missed quite a bit. Sorry, guys. Wait, what? Yes, they're still the... yeah, Jake, they're still the shadow of their former selves. Jake, the dwarves will never reach the power they had in the Golden Age. Yep, agreed. Anon, if defeat is a total certainty, it makes endless status quo of Edge of Disaster ultimately lame and unfulfilling. Yeah, leading to a mockery and stagnation that led to M Times writing. Like, I don't know what happened there, Anon, internally in the company. I think 40K is very successful. And I guess when you've really literally built a new genre, you got to be pretty happy about it. So I could see what they were trying to go for, but, it just didn't work. Jake, the end times just secures that. Yeah, trust me, it hurts my dwarf heart. Yeah, my Dowie heart. Groth, they lost runes, so created technology. They encountered Skaven. They got a bunch of Longbeards drunk and promised them Bugmans. Yeah, Groth. I play mostly evil race in 40K. There is no non-evil races in 40K, Groth. I find it incredibly compelling. It's well written. Yeah, it is well written. That's why I do listen to the lore, like of Arch, Warhammer, Luton, and there's a new one I'm listening to, a Border Prince. I'm listening to his lore. 40K lore is interesting. The stories are interesting. I mean, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to, because lots of people talk about it and lots of people love it. I'm trying to at least understand it. Groth, it's tragic. That's why it's compelling. Okay, Jake Wu, dwarfs are simply easy to relate to. Jake, for me, that's what it is. I'm an engineer in real life. I mean, share a lot of the same traits that, that dwarfs have. They've been, and just like for the dwarfs, they are great and they're bad at the same time. Your greatest strengths are also your greatest weaknesses, and that's how it's been for me in my career. Groth, can we say how Crypt Ghouls do against Blackguard Corsairs anti-infantry armored, just to see them against their weakness? Okay. Garth, Dark Elder Sue, there's nobody worse. Yeah, Dark Elder, the 40k elves. Jake Wu. I love Warhammer 40k as much as I love Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, and lots of people do, Jake, which is why I've really, really been trying to listen to 40k and understand it, because maybe there's something I'm missing. It's just, I just have not found my hook, Jake, just because I can't find a hero that I can relate to. And in that universe, I just haven't been able to find it. They have a real power from pain, yeah. Jake Wu at Groth Draxale and Chaos to me, yeah. Okay, so Groth, you asked Blackguard Corsairs. Blackguard Corsairs will kick the snot out of Crypt Ghouls. Groth, but I can do a quick test just for fun. Here we go. So we'll get some Blackguard Corsairs because we're in between tests, and they'll kick the crap out of them, though. Because Blackguard Corsairs are anti-infantry. And going up against the non-armored, they will absolutely mop the floor with Crypt Ghouls. Blackguard Corsairs are actually not bad as a flanking unit. They're not a good frontline unit, though. And Groth, if you want to see Blackguard Corsairs optimally used, go find that game that I cast of Ororka using his Dark Elves against the Dawi. There's 2 Blackguard Corsairs used in that build, and they are used to full effect. But you'll see the Blackguard Corsairs will kick the crap out of the, Yeah, they're already winning. These guys feel like they're losing. So we're going to say they're going to get to half health. 51, 25. Yeah, they got them a little bit less than half health. 2,000. 1,400. Boom. Done. So, 39. So 66 kills. So not quite a 2-to-1 on the kill ratio. But they basically finish with half their models. I'll say a third of their health for 150 extra gold. So they're winning gold on that, because this is a great target for the Blackguard Corsairs. Not their ideal target. Like their ideal target for a Blackguard Corsair would sort of be a spear unit, or a spear unit, or like a backline range unit like Thunders, that kind of stuff. They're not a great frontline unit, Blackguard Corsairs, to be sure. Okay, let's grab these nasty skulkers. And they're going to go up against the spearmen first. Is that correct? Is that what I have? Spearmen? Nasty skulkers versus spearmen. Yes, that's what I have. Nasty skulkers. Da, 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 da. Okay. Okay, so we'll get that fight going. Yeah, recently getting into a Border Prince and his 40k lore. I think he does a few more stories, so I'm trying to listen to those stories. 52. Okay, so 52. So I'm trying to listen to the stories, and maybe I'll like it more, because I have not been able to engage with the universe because it's so corrupt and cruel. Like it's so cruel. Like the cruelty of the universe is what bothers me. I get it, that it's a story, but I just can't, like the thing that I always thought Space Marines would be awesome, and that was sort of what I'm like, I gotta find out why Space Marines, they're gonna be awesome. Everyone loves Space Marines. What's awesome about Space Marines? And then I started reading about Space Marines, and they're not awesome. They're evil. They're really bad. Like they'll Space Marines will kill an entire world. They'll execute everybody, innocent or guilty. They don't care. They don't care about anybody. And, they're the Imperium of man. I don't know. I just don't get it. Nasty Skulkers. Okay, so where does it start? 52? Okay, we go to 52. Okay, so let's get that going. So, will the Nasty Skulkers win this? They should, I think. And their armor piercing is wasted, and the Spearmen... But the Spearmen are an anti-large unit, you know. I don't know. Nasty Skulkers are a very good unit all around. Spearmen are losing. And it looks like they're going to keep losing. Yeah. Although the problem with the Nasty Skulkers is that leadership. Once they get below their thresholds for leadership is when they could just rout at any time, even if they're winning. Oh yeah, no, they're gonna win. Okay, 56-47. 56-47. Nasty Skulkers 27-41. So they won that pretty handily. Spearmen 786. 150 gold. Nasty Skulkers definitely won that very handily. For saying that's a nightmare matchup for the Crick Ghouls, it shows they still have merit. Yeah. I don't think Dark Elf infantry is all that great until you get up to their higher tier infantry, and then their niche. So it's kind of a weird thing. But Black Ark Corsairs are not outstanding. I think Black Ark Corsairs are sort of middle of the pack in all my infantry testing. Groff. Let's see. Maybe I can go find it. Let's see. Where did Black Ark Corsairs finish? Was it here? Okay. Black Ark Corsairs. 650. Oh, they're going to be up a little bit. Okay. Okay, why is this like this? Okay, they're going to be at the next level, so 601 to 900. Black Ark Corsairs, yeah. They're sort of way down. That's sort of the bottom third of infantry. They're not great. Witch Elves are not great either, but they have niche possibilities. I think they can do good in certain matchups and for certain things, but they're not all that great either. Black Ark Corsairs are nothing special. And by the way, the rest of the lower tier Dark Elf infantry is nothing special either. Like if we go and we get their 401, do we have, where's the Dark Elves down here? Dark Elves, Dread Spears, they're right at the bottom. You know, they're below Battle Pilgrims and Flagellants. They're pretty weak. And the Bleak Swords are, you know, are below that halfway mark in here. Like they're really nothing special. You know. So, and at the top of this sort of list, I mean, that's where you see Nasty Skulkers, Basic Dwarf Warriors, Goreherds, Night Goblin Fanatics. You know, so okay, there and get our thing going. So, Nasty Skulkers, keep on fighting, and we'll get them as copy 52, 52, 52, 52, 52. Yeah, I really want to get this one test going as well and sort of get it sorted out, and then figure out the next set of tests I'm going to do to try and get an idea of where they should land. Rematch. A Groth, they didn't lose all too much gold. Yeah, no, they didn't lose a whole lot, but they lost some. Jake Wu, that's the whole point, Sue. Okay, I get it, Jake. I just have not, like I said, I haven't found my hook. I don't know. Jake, 40k has really complex lore, and I think, but that's what makes it. And I agree, the lore on 40k is so complicated that I've listened to, I'm going to say, I've probably listened to 100 hours of YouTube videos on 40K, trying to get into it because I know it's important and a lot of people love it. Just to try and understand who's who. You know, I sort of get now a lot of it. At least I've got a fundamental understanding of the basics. But that's where, as soon as I understood the basics, that's where I liked it less. Because it is so depressing. But I just haven't found my hook. Maybe I will. Groth. Space Marines are bad, so they can protect humanity as a whole. That right. This is the whole idea that the ends justify the means, right? And that's not a heroic story. The ends justify the means is not a heroic story. Right? It's not about self-sacrifice in 40K. It's about sacrificing others, which is the problem. This is why you look at the story, one of the greatest a great story about self-sacrifice that I really like because I'm old is Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, because that story is about sacrifice, you know, and but it's not about sacrificing others. It's about sacrificing yourself for the greater good, and that's the heroic way to do it. But 40K has no heroes. Okay. Soldiers tend to not always get on with civilians. Groth. Dark elves suffer from low health and bad melee defense as a rule. Yeah, all their lower tier infantry is very, very unremarkable. The only thing that's notable is they have some silver shields, I think. Anon crashed the desktop at the 37-minute mark, attacking Gunbad during a quarter engagement. Oh my god, 37 minutes and you crashed. That would I feel your pain, Anon. I don't get it yet. Gross Draxlayers, did they mod quarters? No, not directly. Anon, you know, Exodite Elder don't seem all that bad in 40K. Yeah. Groth, didn't I send you YouTube Hell's Reach stuff, Sue? I think you might have sent me something, Groth. Lots of people send me lots of stuff. I don't remember. I just don't remember everything. Jake Wu, you will trust me, Sue. It is still kind of in a way, though. So that's Jake. This is why I'm trying to keep at it. You know, not a month goes by where I don't listen to some 40K and try to find my hook into that universe, because I know a lot of people love it, and I want to find my way in. You know, there are no dwarfs. I get there were squats in some version of 40K, but there are no dwarfs there, and there's no dwarf-like people there either. Which that's what I really I am endeared to in storytelling. I am endeared by stories where people fail because of their traits, but they also succeed because of the same traits. You know, this is that's like the eternal great story. You know, that's what makes stories great. Groth, Sue, if you've got the coins that suggest playing Dawn of War 2 Retribution, I've been watching it. I haven't been able to get into it. I do have a game, Groth, that I'm going to be playing, but it's not Eternal War 2. It's Aurora Boss introduced me to it. What is it? I'll see here. I'll show you what game it is. The next game I'm going to play is not Warhammer Quest, Pathfinder Kingmaker. I'm going to try that. So I actually do have some crossout that I've played. Battle for Westnoth, Axis and Allies. I played Axis and Allies when I was a kid, and my friend I went to university with developed that game. Bought the rights off the original board maker and developed the game to be online. So, okay. 5659. Let's get back here. 5659. 5659. And 3124 for the Skulkers. I think where the Dark Elves excel is they're pretty well rounded. they don't really have healing with the exception of Soul Stealer. That's kind of, but they have at least some. It's not nothing, right? 10-13 for the Spearman, 10-13. And the Nasty Skulkers win again. Rematch. Jake. There are a lot of heroic stuff in 40k. They do it in a dank and more cruel way. That's it. Like I guess maybe that's not the right way of describing it, Jake. I don't know how to describe it. I mean, in the stories that I like, I mean, I do like hero stories where people fail because of a trait and they succeed because of that same trait. That's it's like the Hulk in the MCU. If he fails, it's because he's a great big green rage monster and he smashes things, but he also succeeds because he's a great big green rage monster that smashes things. Those are the stories that I love, because it's so easy to relate to that, because that is my personal story too. 5701. I fail because of these traits that I have, but I also succeed because of the same traits. So it's a compelling stories for me to watch. 3126. 26. T Spearman and 1008. Nasty Skulkers are taking a lot of value off of the Spearman. 161 gold. That is a ton. That is a lot. End of battle or rematch. Most Imperial Guard characters fit your description. Imperial Guard, okay, I'll try and look for them. Squats got written out of existence, which was a shame. Anon, it's like a Lars von Trier film, leaves you feeling awful in the end. Yeah. Squats are canon, but only in passing. Okay, it's size 2. Soul Stealer is 100% miscast chance at hardly healing. Oh, okay. I didn't know that, Groth. I'm not a Dark Elf player, but I thought that it healed. Sue is a great green rage monster. Sometimes, Anon, I do. Hulk is like my favorite character in the MCU. And what's his name? Who plays Hulk is the best version of the Hulk I've ever seen. He's so good. Groth, years of engineering have clearly left him bitter. It's like, it's funny. Is as I have gotten a lot older, and I've been an engineer for nearly 30 years now. I don't know if the description, you get grumpy, not bitter, because you've heard you start hearing the same things over and over in your career. The same things said by young people that are wrong when someone else says them, wrong what they say them, and they were wrong when you were young and said them. So it's not that you're bitter, but it's easy to be grumpy because you tend to be more short with people than you should be, and not as patient. So you can come across as grumpy. Because someone will say, oh, we should do this. And I'd be like, oh, no, we shouldn't do that. That's a mistake, we don't need to. And you forget that the person suggesting it has never experienced it and they don't know, right? So it's you just come across as a grumpy old man. 5604, which is true, right? I guess it's exactly true. It's not come across as, that's precisely true. 2147. 2147 for them Skulkers. And the Spearman, 612. 612. Here we go. All right. And Ross Draxler. Oh no, Jake Wu. I think the guy who plays the Hulk in the MCU, Mark Ruffalo. Yeah, he's the best. He is the best. He is the best version of the Hulk ever. And he's so good. He's like, he just fits just right. And I actually thought I was going to like the second most recent Hulk. He's the bad guy in Alita Battle Angel. What is his name? I thought I was going to like him the best because he's such an amazing actor, but he just didn't pull the Hulk off right. Just couldn't do it. You know? And the whole way Mark Ruffalo's demeanor is so good. Like in the original Avengers, when when he's like, "You want to know my secret? I'm always angry," and then he just grows into the Hulk. I mean, when I watched that, literally goosebumps, because I always wondered, because I read all the Hulk comics when I was a kid. He's always my favorite, and the Thor Hulk fights were always the best, and it just that one line totally blew my mind as a Hulk fan for, I don't know, over 40 years, I guess. As soon as I could read, I was a fan of the Hulk. 5724. 5724 and 3347. 3347. Spearman finished with 962. Okay. 183 gold. Those nasty skulkers are beating down those spears. Groth, comic book Hulk always has that skinny stoner look. We all love Loki though. Loki has been really great in the MCU. What a find with the guy who plays him. Did a great job. Great writing too. Edward Norton and yeah, that's who it is. Edward Norton. I love Edward Norton. He is so good in so many films. I thought finally, we're gonna have the Hulk, the Bruce Banner that I want. But it just wasn't that. And to be fair, Mark Ruffalo's version of the Hulk, or Bruce Banner, is not the comic book version of Bruce Banner. He isn't. He's made that character great by redefining it in some ways. I don't know how, but he just did it. And because in the comic books, Bruce Banner's a pretty serious dude, but not like Mark Ruffalo just sort of made it work with being, I don't know, his demeanor is just perfect. Just great casting. Great casting there. Holy, look at them high elves go. Wow. Let's talk about fighting to the bitter end there. 5610. Just 610. And the Nasty Skulkers, 1901. Okay, and the High Elf Spearmen, 551. 1. And we'll end that battle. Rematch. Yeah. Jake, LOL from the first Avengers movie. Yep. Jake, I wish something like the MCU for 40K or something. Yeah. And on Tom Hiddleston. Exactly. That's he's been great in the MCU. Groth Draxler. It's not always due to the actor, though the script plays a part. Agreed. Script and actors, they fit. And it's just like Tom Holland's Spider-Man has been my favorite Spider-Man. Everything's been really good. I think the only MCU character, and I'm talking out of all of them that I've just genuinely disliked, has been Captain Marvel. I think because Captain Marvel in the comics is really impactful as a character, not just for her powers, but she's, but she just, I don't know, just didn't work in the MCU, in my opinion. Hopefully, the next Captain Marvel movie just does a better job and they get it. But I think that's the only miss for me so far. I think all the villains and all of the heroes and everyone has been amazing. The casting has just been spot on. The writing's been great. Like everything. Like I can't even think of minor characters that were bad. Like you look down deep in the MCU, and every movie has a depth of good characters, great characters, all the way through. Like I think they're so deep. It's just that's the one movie that I just the character or the writing just did not do it for some reason. I don't know why. But I mean, hopefully the next Captain Marvel movie shows how awesome Captain Marvel actually is, because the Captain Marvel's appearance in Endgames was like kind of demonstrates like Captain Marvel's kind of like Superman. I mean, that's the sort of the right analogy. And it's hard to write good Superman stories. Then the only good Superman stories are theirs because of Superman's vulnerabilities. Groth, I didn't like Black Panther, to be honest. Black Panther, I guess I really, really liked Black Panther's introduction in Civil War. So the Black Panther movie was okay. But origin stories are never they're never really great. But I thought Black Panther in Civil War was fantastic, really good. But the Black Panther movie, good characters all around, good enough story. But I didn't think it was big enough, but it was still good, better than Captain Marvel. Okay, Nasty Skulkers, they finished with 3167, and Hal Spearman 1062. 148 gold Nasty Skulkers took off the Hyle Spearman. Ouch. This one should be interesting. So this is the test that I'm going to submit to the forums in the Marauders with Great Weapons category, because here is a good example. Now, Marauders with Great Weapons should win this because Nasty Skulkers, because they're both armor-piercing infantry with low armor themselves, but Nasty Skulkers obviously have a lot more utility. Marauders' Great Weapons do have better leadership, though, so it's not like Marauders have they're perfectly equivalent, but I think Nasty Skulkers will win. So I think Nasty Skulkers will win because Marauders' Great Weapons are a little lacking, but we'll see. So that's my prediction before we get the test going, and then we'll see. I'll submit that in that thread, the test results. In the battle. Civil War, I didn't like Black Panther. Yeah, the actor's fine. Yeah, Civil War in Civil War in his own movie. Really, I loved him. I love Civil War. I love Black Panther in Civil War. And I think the movie didn't have enough scale. I think it could have been a little grander. Special effects were amazing. Really, really good in the Black Panther movie. But it's like a Black Panther movie was sort of like, to me, it was like, it felt a lot like, was it Iron Man 3 or Iron Man 2, where they had that guy who could turn himself real hot, and he was, kind of melting through Tony's suits or something. That movie was sort of forgettable. It was good, love all the characters, but the movie was just sort of meh. Like the bad guy was not super threatening, and the writing was not really on point. That was sort of Black Panther, I think. But I think Black Panther was a better movie, but but I think that Black Panther's introduction in Civil War was awesome. Okay, so here we go. Let's get Warriors of Chaos and Chaos Marauders Great Weapons. Let's see how this goes. I think the Chaos Marauders should beat the Nasty Skulkers, but I think the Nasty Skulkers are going to beat the Chaos Marauders. That's my prediction. Okay. Loved Endgame. The final battle was awesome. Jake, I agree. It was fantastic. Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, there they go. There they go. You see, and this is well, maybe. Nope. It's close. It's close. Close. There we go. Okay. So 58-58. Oops. We're going to call this 52. What did I say? 58-58. Done in 54 seconds. Very, very fast. 31-51 for the Nasty Skulkers. 31-51 for the Nasty Skulkers. 31-50. 17-67 for the Chaos Marauders. 17-67. Alright. And a victory for the Nasty Skulkers. Which is what... This is sort of what I... Yeah, well, they only took 50 gold, which isn't a lot. But the Marauders should really be taking 50 gold off the Nasty Skulkers, or 25, sort of. That's what I would imagine. If we're going to look at it that way. Okay. Oh, I'm just going to make them all 52. I'll double check the time when they start. But that's what I'm going to keep it at. Okay. 58, 52. 52. Where do we go? 58-58. Okay. So, well, I'll just take a look at where that actually ends up. We can forget Thor the Dark World 2. Yeah, Thor the Dark World, I guess I liked it. But I really, really liked Thor. I mean, if Hulk was my favorite comics, Thor was my second favorite, and then Wolverine would be my third favorite, and my fourth favorite was Conan the Barbarian, which was a totally different sort of comic, and I really liked it. Reading that comic when I was young because there was nudity in it. Times were different. Times were different back in the late 70s, early 80s, boys. They were different back then. Oh, shit! Not paying attention. Thinking about reading Conan comics. There we go. That's the problem. Gotta pay attention. And on 30-minute mark, no CDT, haven't used corners yet. Good luck, agreed. I love Thor, me too, Jake. Groth, Aquaman and Black Panther. Yeah, Jake, with Thor and Infinity War got him a massive boost in popularity. Yeah. Groth for me. And on Conan, the Arnold film, best soundtrack ever. Yeah, that's Basil Poldaris. It is the best. It's the best film soundtrack in the history of film. There's nothing that's ever come close. Now, there's been some films with really great songs, but as far as a full soundtrack, Basil Poldaris and that soundtrack was the masterpiece of masterpieces. And the movie, you know, it was done so well. It's one of the greatest movies ever made, I think. But, you know, considering every bit of it. Oh, there we go. So, the Chaos Marauders of Great Weapons won that. Nasty Skulkers have lost. Interesting. There is... We'll see who wins the gold. I think the Nasty Skulkers win that gold. So 5907. 5907. Nasty Skulkers, 2853. And the Marauders of Great Weapons, 2291. So... then the Nasty Skulkers lose. The Nasty Skulkers lose, but they still took 65 gold from the Marauders of Great Weapons. Huh, interesting. Okay. Concede defeat. And on, I have the full unabridged soundtrack if you want to copy. I actually, Anon, I have it too. That was I bought that CD a long, long time ago, and it's just so good, every part of it. And I mean, Basil Poldaris did some good work after, but never did he hit the pinnacle again. Not like Conan the Barbarian. Groth. Skulkers need to be winning to get their buff. In 1v1, no flanking is similar prices. It's a dice game. Yeah, so... Oh, they lost right there. So they don't actually need to be winning. They need to be winning to recharge it. So I did a whole lot of tests against the Nasty Skulkers, and I thought this Opportunist Murderer was bugged because it would go off, but it's it only recharges if they're winning. It can go off. It'll go off all the time, no matter what. They get one use of it, no matter what, for 15 seconds. 5903. So Nasty Skulkers lose again. 2905 they finish with. 2905. And the Marauders with great weapons. 3133. And they lose again, but they still took gold off the Marauders with great weapons. Interesting. Okay. See defeat. And we're going to rematch. And I found a torrent a very long time ago. It has every song, yeah, even the part where I don't know if it has the part where he punches the camel or not. God, I haven't listened to that CD for a long time. I'm trying to think if it had every last bit of it. I don't know. Anon, I don't remember. Groth, talking about soundtracks. Can I mention Star Wars? Yeah, because the Star Wars soundtrack for the fight between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Obi-Wan and who was the Sith? It was in the first movie back with Obi-Wan and his master and the Red Sith. That song, oh my God, one of the best songs in movie history. So Skulkers lose again. Anon, I have it, but some songs have the speech filtered out, so it's suboptimal quality. Okay. And on the normal Konak soundtrack is missing a huge amount of the best stuff. Interesting. I don't remember thinking that when I listened to it, but I bought it long after. So I probably bought that CD in the early 90s. So it was quite a bit. Darth Maul, yep. Duel of the Fates. Death, that's the one. Darth Maul, Duel of the Fates. The Imperial March is great too. I mean, there's so much good music in Star Wars, it's unbelievable. I've actually been listening to a lot of the Star Wars audiobooks, listening to some of the old stuff. Hopefully they, like the stuff about Darth Plagueis and, the stuff before all the events and all the movies. Man, there's so much great lore. So many great stories. 5909. 5909. And we've got Nasty Skulkers 2946. This is really interesting, this fight here so far. 2749. So the Nasty Skulkers now have lost 3 out of 4, but they've taken value away from the Marauders in every fight. Jake, or are we talking about Star Wars? The prequels? Well, I don't know. Hopefully they actually develop some I don't know where this last movie is going to go. I mean, I've been, I get they're trying to recreate Star Wars, but I've been pretty disappointed with where they're going. But I guess I'm old and I love the originals, so I don't like where they've taken them. But I'd still want to see some of these old Star Wars movies not old. Some of they still have a lot in that world to explore. So, and they have the money to do it. So I'm imagining we're going to keep seeing Star Wars movies forever. Rematch. The prequel movies and before Star Wars lore. Yeah. Groth. We'll just ignore Disney. That's the only Star Wars rule. We gloss over the prequels, but don't disregard them. Yeah. It's tough. But I mean, not every movie can be great. And I would rather see them continue to push out movies, even if I'm not the biggest fan, just because they are going to hit on some great movies if they keep pushing out movies. Like, it's not like every movie can easily be great. It's really actually hard to make a great movie. With the MCU, we've been spoiled because there have been so many great movies, but there's been some pretty, meh movies, like, Thor: Dark Worlds. I loved it, but a lot of people didn't. And I think Iron Man 2 and 3 were both pretty forgettable. And but there have also been some great movies. So Star Wars, even if it's Disney, they're gonna find their way. I believe they will. 58, 59. Because success in this world, as I've come to learn, is definitely related more to hard work and effort than it is to intelligence and capability. So if they just keep putting out movies, they're going to find something that's going to be great. Nasty Skulkers. Lost again, 2884. 2884. 2918. Okay, lost again, but pulled positive gold again. All right, so this is interesting. So the Marauders with great weapons are doing what they should do against the Nasty Skulkers in that they're winning. But they're losing some gold. So this is to say that the Marauders with great weapons are probably, and a lot of people said they're probably just a little bit underpowered. So maybe if they're 475 gold or 450, I would think that, I don't know. I think cheaper would probably be 475 would be what you can go with them pretty reasonably. Marauders with great weapons. I'm not seeing anything here so far that would say that would be completely awful. Okay, 40, 58. Okay, so we got 2 more fights. Concede defeat, yes. Rematch. And on 14 minutes left, Quarler's exhausted ammo. Keep on going, man. Groth, Blackguard and Negron are a ripoff of Palpatine's Royal Guard. But if Malekith is Vader, does that make Marathi Palpatine? Is there a storyline in Warhammer similar to Star Wars? I don't think so. There's no I am your father moment in Warhammer that I'm aware of. Okay, so these are -2. Nasty Skulkers lose again. Frick. How about that? 5905. It's very fast. Nasty Skulkers, 2858. And the Marauders finished with 2514. See defeat, yes. Accept and rematch. And get in there and fight. And boom. Lost again. How about that? 5908. Oh, excuse me. 2593 for the Skulkers. Oh, 93. There's Skulkers. Marauders Great Weapons. 28.99. Okay. Interesting. The Skulkers only won 1 out of 7 fights, but they took positive gold in all 7. And they took it by 50 gold. So for these units to sort of be equivalent in a straight up fight, this is to say that the Marauders with Great Weapons would have to be 450 gold. And then their value would be almost exactly the same in terms of their fight versus each other. So, I mean, I've seen on the forums people talking about Marauders with Great Weapons from 425 to 475. So it looks like 450 is about the correct number for them in this matchup. And even at 450, they still don't have all the tools that Nasty Skulkers have. This is just a straight up infantry fight. So this doesn't talk about all the other things that Nasty Skulkers have. So I could see Marauders Great Weapons being reasonably costed at 450 gold from what I'm seeing here. All right, so let's get to Nasty Skulkers and go against Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms. Oh, am I missing the date? Today is the 23rd. Copy. V. Okay, Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms. See defeat? Yes. And battle. Blackguard and Negron a rip. Okay. Groth. Vader was cast into flames, thinking himself the chosen one, and became reliant on his armor. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. I see that. And on Red Letter Media said everything that needs to be said about the Star Wars prequel. Okay. Groth. Malekith was cast into flames, thinking himself worthy and has to be sustained by his magic armor. Yeah, okay. Got it. And on the Duel of Fates. If the Duel of Fates was a good film, it would have defined the entire generation. Amazing films define things. It can be good and not be genre defining. But I understand why you're saying that. Groth, they both use magic and swordsmanship. That's true. And on Crash to Test Top, what? When they started the ladders? And on, I'd feel for you, man. That's 3 in a row that's happened that way. Unbelievable. Okay, let's go get those Bretonnians. Whoops, cancel. Okay, let's see, where are they? Men-at-Arms, Pole Arms, and we'll start those fights. Yeah, it's not exactly like you can have a campaign, a dwarf campaign without, well, I mean, you could have a dwarf campaign without Gunbad, but I wouldn't do it, wouldn't recommend it. 52 seconds it is. Okay, all right, let's see. The Nasty Skulkers should win this pretty handily, and they are going to. Actually 8 if you count yesterday in the 8 times you've tried it. You got to be careful with mods about you can't change any mods or it'll gack your whole save file, right? Well, you're early enough in the game, you might be able to restart the game or go and reload your mods or something. I don't know. I have no good advice for you. 5736. Nasty Skulkers, 3401. And Men-at-Arms with Pole Arms, 1245. And the Nasty Skulkers win that, and very easily, 168 gold. A rematch. Groth, did you apply your head to a wall until it doesn't happen anymore? Can't crash the desktop if you're on the floor unconscious. That's true. And I literally have no choice. I'm going to go into debt if I don't take Gunbad. Yes, yeah, this is the 3rd campaign that ground to a halt because that is ridiculous. So there's some, obviously a bug there that's you can't get past. And it's obviously a part of the mod because I just played a very short campaign because I'm just trying to get my head around how I'm going to do these new strategy for beginner videos. and it just taken Gunbat and vanilla no problem. So there's nothing wrong in the vanilla side. So it's the mod somewhere. Anon, have you tried, instead of waiting outside the walls, just storming the walls in the beginning, or holding off? Like, you know what I mean? Usually you kind of kill some towers and then use up all your ammo and then fight. Have you tried one where you actually just try and storm it? Because it is doable. Gunbat is not really well protected. 5750. Nasty Skulkers 3494. $11.57. Like, it might have something to do with something on the timer. I don't know. Who knows? A rematch. Memory leak. So I think that, like, memory leak, that's possible. Groth, I want to weasel my voice into more of your content. I mean, I don't have a campaign coming up right now, Groth. And on, I can't win with storming. Oh, okay. You have to. I don't call it cheese. You have to go from the side. You have to do it carefully and slowly. I understand. It's a full army. I see. It's a garrison and a full army inside. So you have to corner. You have to take it in from the corner. Take out the 2 towers, and then use up all your ammo. Okay, I understand. I mean, you could go down and take the southern settlement first, and then try and get the army to come out so you can face them in the open field, and then go and take the garrison and storm it. That's the only thing I could think of, because I can't think of it, because obviously it's just happening over and over. There is a bug that's just going to keep on. It's like it's a reliable enough bug. It's just going to keep on happening. So the only thing I could think of is to alter your campaign a little bit, go south, take that settlement, and then try and get that army to come out and fight you, or just set out a little ways outside of the settlement and run and ambush every turn until the army comes out and runs into you. That could work too. 5738. 38. Nasty Skulkers 3611. Ooh, very, very good. 1160. Skulkers 192 gold. Wow. Rematch in battle. Missile spam to draw them again and again until I storm. Yeah. But I mean, to draw their main army out might be the way to do it. Or like I said, because if otherwise it'll just keep doing it over and over, which is obviously, it is not good for your ability not to smash your keyboard. But you could see, maybe you can work around it, and it might be a specific thing. But if you can get there and storm it fast with no army in there, maybe it's doable. These Nasty Skulkers they're a pretty solid unit. You know, you think they still have like all this. They do have like that problem because they have such crappy leadership, no armor. They have that stock and Vanguard and Smoke Bomb are just 3. Well, Vanguard's not the greatest ability, but that stock really is quite a good ability for them. Protect them from missiles. 5704. 04. Okay. Nasty Skulkers 2866. Not that great this time. And 1011. 145 though. Even with not that great of a result, pulling 145 goals off the man at arms with full arms is a lot. Rematch. Right, you'll go into debt, but maybe lure them out trying to saving grace have a long fuse. Anon, that is a very dwarven trait. Groth nasty skulkers are nasty. That is true. They are. Now I wonder if they always had just 3 uses of opportunist murder. Because I think they might have had more before. They maybe have nerfed that. I'm going to count it this time. 57, 51. 51. Okay, 34, 30. And they got 1033. Okay, 188 gold they pulled out that time. Okay, so end the battle. I'm going to count how many times opportunist murder they can, how many times they use it. Anon, I never thought of Dowie as even tempered and slow to anger. Depends what the subject is. Right? Depends what the subject is. Okay. Okay, 1. We'll count it. 2. 3. 4. Okay. 5, yeah. That's not right. It looks like they should only get opportunist murder 3 times. Or maybe it goes for 3 seconds? Maybe that's it. No, it goes for 15 seconds, and it takes 3 seconds to recharge. Ah, got it. It takes 3 seconds to recharge and goes for 15 seconds. It's not a maximum of 3 uses. That's just me misinterpreting what that said. Okay, 5721. 3362 for their health. And men armed with polearms, 1030. Okay. Rematch. Rematch. Okay, Nasty Skulkers, 2737. Men armed with polearms, 1115. And that's that. So now we have, I guess, who do we have left here to test? Marauders, Crypt Ghouls. I guess we just have the Heil Spearman, right? Nasty Skulkers, Crypt Ghouls. So we'll take this, copy, V, and we'll put the Marauder, the High Elf Spearman here, copy, V, and High Elf Spearman. How much health do they have? That much, copy, V. So is that the only fight we have left? Marauders with great weapons. Oh no, we all have Marauders with great weapons versus High Elf Spearman versus Men-at-Arms Polar. We'll get this one done first. We'll just get it done. Okay, finish. And the High Elf Spearman should win this. I would think. So we'll just get in that battle. End the battle. And we'll get the High Elf Spearman. And then when I'm done, I'm going to take all the gold for each fight, add them up together, and find out which unit out of these 5 units of 500 gold, just fighting against each other, just out of curiosity, how they did. Okay, so we need High Elves. Okay, where's the Spearman? Let's get that fight going. And then we probably have a Marauders versus High Elves and a Marauders versus Men-at-Arms Polearms. That's probably the last one we have left. After this should be 49. Yeah, we'll call that 49. Okay, 49. Okay, and let's, whoops, 22, copy V. All right, let's get this going. The ultimate wet noodle fight. Neither thinks they're winning. Ooh, it's going to take a long time. Okay, now the Spearmen think they're winning. All right. I never thought of Dowie using it. Would Bugmans with no range beat them? I don't know. They might. Skulkers? They might. They have 38 melee defense. And, but their armor doesn't really matter. They do have regeneration, which will matter. I don't know. They might. This is on fast forward, folks. Neither is to half health yet. And we're at 50, so 4 minutes in. Hopefully this is not a 10-minute fight. Spearmen. They still got their martial prowess. So if they close out the other Spearmen faster than the Dwarf Warriors, that'll be, or if they can kill faster than Dwarf Warriors, that'll be a little irritating. Okay, it looks like they can. So 52-31. 52. Took forever though. 438 seconds. 7 minutes. It's a long time. Spearmen 28-44. And Men-at-Arms with Polearms 11:38. 155. So the Spearmen should win this. They're both anti-large, but the Spearmen only have 40 armor. The Men-at-Arms, I think, only have 30. So the Spearmen's weapon strength will be a little more powerful versus the Men-at-Arms. Both the Spearmen do have a silver shield, which is actually a nice little thing. Quit battle and rematch. And they both have 90 units, so like this is an interesting match. Yeah, because they're different by 10 armor. Obviously, they have 14 more leadership. So the Spearmen have very good leadership compared to the Bretonnians, and the Spearmen have a little more speed. But their other stats are pretty close. So the men-at-arms with polearms are paying quite a bit for their armor piercing. And what is their bonus versus large? 15 for the spearmen and 18 for the men-at-arms with polearms, I believe. 18 it is, yep. So the men-at-arms with polearms have a bigger bonus versus large than the spearmen. But the spearmen have a silver shield, a little bit more armor, a lot more leadership. And I guess they have more melee defense when martial prowess is active. 50 melee defense versus 40. 22 and 50 versus 22 and 40. 10 more total stats. But that martial prowess only lasts for the top half of your health. Skulker. All the spear poking. You can make that joke. You make any joke you want, Groth. I don't care. Okay, spearman. God, it's going to take so long. You know what? It's funny. I don't mind long battles with the Dowie in it, but watching two units that are not dwarfs take have a long fight cannot hold my interest. My bias is showing very clearly. They're going to make it to 51 minutes. They might. The men-at-arms are doing much better this go-around. They're into 51 minutes. Are they going to make it to 50? It's really close. The polearms may win this. This is super close. No, they're going to lose. They're going to lose. Holy crap. 50-13. Wow, nearly 10 minutes. 50-13. Crazy. That is the longest fight so far, folks. High Elf Spearman, 1169. Winning that fight. But the men-at-arms with polearms showing their quality. 706, putting up a fight. Remind me to Helgi. Helgi are just obsessed with poking their spears. They are. Yeah. Groth, High Elves are uninteresting to me. Jake, me too. I like Dark Elves, though. They don't have a real military. If I had to pick the elves that I like the best, it would probably be the Dark Elves. Like, because at least in some way they're honest to themselves. Where High Elves are not honest. And nor are Wood Elves. But Dark Elves are honest to who they are. In my estimation, anyways. Because they're bad, but they at least they own it, you know? They own it. Okay. Whereas High Elves are bad, but they don't own it. Same with Wood Elves. They're also very bad, and they don't own it. The Wood Elves should feel incredible remorse for tearing down the entire forest. In essence, they brought all the bad things to the forest and Durthu and everything else like that. But they think they're doing good, which is that's exactly the problem with the Wood Elves and the High Elves, right? They're in a lot of ways hypocrites. Which is what I don't like about them. They're haughty, like all of them are, but at least the Dark Elves aren't hypocrites. They are bad and they own it. So if there's a difference between the elves, that's the difference that I see. Okay, Jake, if you're going to pick the Elgi, you'd probably go Azur. Yeah. I mean, the one thing that the Azur have is they have they do have the coolest roster, I think. You know, dragons are pretty impressive, if I'm honest. And they have 3 types. And lion chariots, I mean, they don't have those yet, but they're gonna. and phoenixes, and it's pretty impressive to look at. This is not going to go nearly as long because these spearmen still, and they're not even close to losing martial prowess. I don't even know if they're going to get to half health here. They have monsters, magic, and whatever, but they still won't win over my love for the Dowie. Jake, I'm with you. Groth, slavery is fun for the whole family. Jake, if I were to pick, Anon, Tree regrets his involvement with the Azrai. Yes, it is true, Anon. He does regret it. Jake, at least the High and what else would try to establish friendly relations with the Dowie, while the Dark Elves would take the Dowie slaves. Okay, so that's true. That's a true statement, Jake. Groth, they have the most OP roster, you mean? Yeah, I don't know. Jake, didn't mean to click on that first emoji. That's funny. 5239. Let's keep this going. 5239. Almost done. So we go 5239 and the High Elves 3217. Very good result for the High Elves here. Men at Arm with Polearm 1297. 1. Whew. High Elf Spears are doing quite good here. Rematch. No one has slaves at Dowie. I'm just... I know they say they take Dowie slaves, but I'm not precisely sure exactly how that works. Do they have them enthralled or something? Or... what do they... How could they force them to work for them? I just don't get it. I guess they would have had to broken their mind somehow, right? They'd have to break them first to get, any Dowie to, to move to the crack of a whip. They'd have to break their mind first. That's the only way they could do it. So I don't know. There's probably lore of figuring out how they do it, because I don't know how they do it. I wonder how that would be an interesting story. So, even though dwarf slaves for dark elves do exist in the lore, okay. How many? That's many. Definitely, yes. Groth. Dark elves appreciate dwarf crafts, though. Yeah, I mean they love all their things being dwarf made. Do high elves have such respect? I don't know. And I don't just mean tyrants and conquerors. I mean obsessed with purity and purging. Yes. Yes. True. Groth. They're very persuasive, Sue, and also magic. It might be... I would think they would have to have a way to ruin... to ruin the mind of a dwarf. And I don't... maybe it's magically. Maybe it's they have some way of doing it. But they'd have to break their mind first. Which, of course, is doable. I mean, it's not impossible. Dwarf minds can be broken and corrupted. But they're very resistant, so it would not be an easy process. They kind of used to, in a way, the high elves. Jake, they kind of used to, in a way. Okay. Groth. Chaos Dwarfs are also massive slavers. They are. I don't know who would be bigger. I think per capita, I think the Chaos Dwarves would have more slaves than the Dark Elves, but I think in total the Dark Elves would have more slaves than the Chaos Dwarves, just because there's more Dark Elves in the world by a long shot. And of course, then Skaven dwarf both of them. No pun intended. 50-27. Another really long fight. 50-27. Spearmen at 14-20. And the men at arms with pole arms, they finished with 750. Okay, another win. Finish and rematch. Get that fight going. There we go. Jake, I mean, before the War of Vengeance, the dwarves and high elves traded with one another. Yeah, so it's possible. Groth, dark elves get through a lot. Yeah, get through a lot. And on, do Skaven slaves really count? Well, maybe they do, maybe they don't. You could make a argument that Skaven slaves don't count, but Skaven have other slaves. They just usually eat them before they do too much. That's the problem. I would count non-Skaven slaves to the Ratman. There are examples of dwarven slaves to Skaven. Yeah, there's lots of examples of non-Skaven slaves for the Skaven. Groth. In fact, if Dark Elves didn't get through a lot of slaves, they might revolt, and their economy would break down if they didn't need to raid for more. That could be. It also literally feeds Cain, and thus its followers. Yeah, so, I mean, the Dowis are slaves. I mean, they really leverage all of their ability to have as many slaves as possible, and that was almost their downfall, is their giant slave revolt, and they haven't had, they've had more than one, and they've tried to create their own slaves in creating the Black Orcs, and they've done everything they can to leverage their ability to use slaves to leverage their ability to grow their economy and power and these types of things. Although I think Chaos Dwarves are much more interested in the inward world and sort of in their own world than the outer world, because they're not real expansive. 5139. Spearman 2264. 1102. And I think the beauty of the Chaos Dwarves, and I can't wait to play them, is while you could call them an evil race, I don't think they see themselves as an evil race. They see themselves as abandoned, and they're righteous in their actions, which I really like about the Chaos Dwarves, and I can't wait to play their campaigns, and to just sort of kind of have some light role playing in there just for fun. I'm really excited about the Chaos Dwarves and their campaigns. Okay, is there more? Okay, in fact, also literally feast get Groth. There's more men than Skaven, Sue. And if you disagree, you have to learn about the humble Bretonian present. I think Skaven are innumerable. They're effectively innumerable. There's so many. Jake Wu, Skaven reproduce like hell. Yeah, they're like a super rabbit. Anon, I'm in the Skaven outnumbering even Greenskins camp. Me too, Anon. I'm in the Skavens outnumbering everything else by an order of magnitude. That's where I am with Skaven. The big problem with Skaven is they fight each other in the cradle, literally. They literally fight each other in the cradle. They fight each other in their towns, societies, and clans. The clans fight clans. And then on top of all of that, they still have enough to field massive armies to come to the surface world. So I think Skaven outnumber every sentient being on Earth in the old world. I think Skaven outnumber every sentient being in the whole world by an order of magnitude. So at least 10 to 1. I think there are at least 10 Skaven for every sentient being on the rest of the planet. That's my sense of the Skaven. And it might be like 100. It might be 2 orders of magnitude. But, I mean, they literally kill each other from the time they're born. And in every group you could call, every group larger than one, Skaven will kill each other for no reason other than to do it. I mean, they're not kind of like the Greenskin style of war, but they're definitely I mean, this is kind of why I like, I'll say, Arch Warhammer's descriptions of Skaven. I never liked Skaven until I listened to Arch Warhammer's lore videos on Skaven. Then I love Skaven, in terms of the lore, because I finally understood it, because he's a Skaven, like he loves Skaven like I love dwarves. So I finally sort of got it. I finally understood the idea of Skaven and what they were, and why they are why they're sort of interesting, right? And would listen to Arch Warhammer, but I get the sense that they're innumerable. 5137. Because they do occupy every part of the world except for Ulthuan, right? Everywhere. 5137. Another 5137. Okay. Well, that's 5027. Okay. Let's go. Spearman finished with 2577. 2577. And Men at Arms with pole arms finished with 1093. And they won. Okay, one last test for these, and then we go on to the Marauders. Rematch. Okay. Okay, sorry, I got to catch up with the chat here. Okay. But I've seen Skaven slaves outnumber Bretonnian peasants. Okay. Peasants, Jake. Yeah, they see themselves as betrayed and abandoned by the ancestor gods. I agree, Jake. Groth. Nobody sees themselves as evil, Sue, except for maybe Marathi. True, I guess. I think the dark elves you can say the dark elves as a whole. Yeah, maybe. I'd say the Chaos Dwarves, though, are different than, say, the Beastmen. The Beastmen don't see themselves as evil. They are the true chosen of chaos and everything. They're anti-order, and they don't really see themselves as anything, right? Jakku, boys. And on Marathi is Emperor Palpatine level of revealing and being evil. Yeah. Jake Wu. Devil Heresy is on the horizon. Jake, it is. I can't wait to play the Dawizar. That's coming, my Dawikin. It is. I know it's coming. Groth. The thing is, I don't think there's going to be anyone who's going to play Chaos Dwarf campaigns like I'm going to play them. There's not that many. Like, there's lots of people who love dwarves, but there's no one as dedicated to the Dowie as I am out there. There's more... Okay, Groth. There's more Bretonnian peasants than there are Skaven. Just trust me. That's why they leave the frogs alone. And on the whole race of Starscreams. A whole race of Starscreams. Jake, be ready and range far, range fast. Yes, I will. Jake, Skaven are number one most popular race in Warhammer Fantasy. I agree. Groth, fun fact, Skaven and the Dark Elves have a non-aggression pact. Both betray it constantly. That's funny. Rorkaboss, I'm back again. Hey, Rorkaboss, Jake. Then it'll be the Greenskins, then the Beastmen, then the people who worship Chaos. Ah, yeah, probably right. Beastmen, are Beastmen that populous, Jake? I agree, Greenskins. Because there's so many. Because Greenskins they're also like all the hobgoblins and snotlings, and like Greenskins are really a populous race, because it's not just orcs and goblins. There's a lot of Greenskins on top of that. J.K. Rook Boss. I like Greenskins because they'll fight anyone just for a fight. So the Greenskins, there is a purity to that, Rook Boss, where they just want to fight. And that's, win or lose, they want to fight all the time. So there is a purity in that I kind of respect, if I'm honest. Jake, yeah, Beastmen were the first children of chaos. So, Jake, they only seek destruction of mankind in all forms of civilization. They only seek destruction of mankind in all forms of civilization. So, Jake, I agree. They're essentially, they seek the destruction of order in its simplest form. Like, this is where I really like Lore Master of Sotek's description is beastmen don't like houses. You know, they don't like they would be angry at a fence because it's not just the world, right? So they'd want to smash anything that's taking any sort of chaos and making it into order. Like a fence takes wood and makes it into a nice fence. They hate everything that's order. And I don't mean order in the terms of this, you know, high elves and empire and dwarves. I mean order that's something that is constructed by something, not nature, right? That's so, you know, there's a purity of that too. Like the whole Warhammer fantasy universe is amazing. Orkbroth's Grimgor lore is so fascinating to me. At a point, his wa consisted of man, dark elves, ogres, chaos, just a gigantic myth. So my favorite story of Orkbroth is when Grimgor went to Hell Pit, basically killed everything in all of Hell Pit, including all the worst monsters, and then just decided there was nothing left to fight, so left. That is my favorite story of Grimgor, is his fight in Hell Pit. Jake, beastmen are everywhere, Sue. I didn't know that, Jake. I didn't know that part. Groth, Grom the Paunch, the best wa. I can't wait to see Grom the Paunch. I think he's coming in this next DLC. I think they're going to leave Empire rework for the last because they're so popular. Jake, just not as many as, say, Thagaraki or the Urks, the Groby. Okay. But still more than man or anything like that. And on angry at a fence. Yeah. And on that's the purity of the beastmen. They hate anything that's ordered. You know? Like they could see, let's say they could see paper strewn all about, and you might say, oh, that paper looks chaotic. They would want to go and destroy the paper itself because it's, you know, made from someone into a tree, into a square piece of thing that's not just there. So that's what I like about the beastmen, is they are just purely against order of any kind, which is a beauty to that. Jake, out of all the civilized races like elves and dwarves, etc., the beastmen hate humans the most. And I wonder why that is, Jake, because you think if they were going to hate something the most, they would hate elves the most. Or dwarfs. Because the elves and the dwarfs, if there is one trait high elves and dwarfs share, is being orderly. Jake, I think they would hate music as well. Yeah, of course. That's exactly, so this is exactly where that's a perfect example. They would hate music. I think if they heard Barden from the Warhammer Vermintide sing, they would bust their nuts. Yeah, I think you're right. Oh shit, I gotta get this. Ah, damn it. Forget. Oh yeah, let's get the testing going here. I think this is the last one, and then I have two more with the Chaos Marauders with great weapons. And then I'll sort of be able to put the data together and see where everyone lines up. Groth, Beastmen are in Vermintide. Yeah, I saw that in the new Vermintide. I was watching Indie Pride play it. You know, I will say, like, this is the one thing that Games Workshop has in the whole fantasy world, is their artwork is the best. There's no fantasy world where that has even nearly as good artwork. Like the dwarves in Warhammer Fantasy are the best dwarves in all of fantasy for how they look. The greenskins are the best greenskins in all of fantasy for how they look. The goblins are the best goblins. The beastmen are the best beastmen. You know, everything's the best as far as artwork. So in the early days, when they were doing artwork and all through, art has been so important to them. And I think that's why this partnership with CA, I think, is even more special, because CA, if there's ever been one criticism to CA that's been pretty consistent as well, aside from the AI, it has been that CA would rather have a game that ran slow but looked beautiful than a game that ran fast and was ugly. And so CA and Games Workshop share that attention to detail and love of great art as two companies. So I think that's one thing that could keep them working together for the next 40 years very easily, because they tend to both have people who really appreciate the beauty of the things that they work on. And it's easy to see. Orc Boss, yep. That was his biggest feat. Then after that, he went north and wiped out everyone there. Ogres, Chaos Dwarves, and all the kingdoms up north. All of a sudden, those people just joined as well. And Beastmen do enjoy chaotic, cacophonous drum beats during their raids. Okay, just for FYI. Interesting. Jake, now they hate humans more because they encountered them more than the others. Plus, Beastmen had a natural memory of them during hunting humans during the days of old before the coming of Sigmar. Okay, interesting. And I think a lot of humans, a lot of Beastmen are humans, right? Like babies left in the woods. Groth, I can't think of any formally trained military force from the Dark Elves aside from Blackguard, but they're guards. Okay. And on. Peter Jackson's dwarves are my preferred art direction, to be honest. I like them. But yeah, I like that. I just like the artwork of Warhammer Dwarf. That's my preference. But Peter Jackson's are good. They seem less cartoony proportioned. Don't even have round shields. Everything is crystalline geometric. Yeah, Groth Rorka still fanning that he kicked Archaon in the balls. Yes. Grimgore did kick Archaon in the balls. 51-34. Spearmen finished with 23-45. And the Men-at-Arms with Polearms finished with 10-85. So that is 113 gold. The High Elf Spearmen took off the Men-at-Arms Polearms. It's a lot of gold. But here you'd say Bretonnian is meant not to have that great of infantry all around, where the High Elf Spearmen are meant to be pretty good infantry. So you can make a faction level case for the High Elf Spearmen being better than the Men-at-Arms with Polearms. So that's 113 gold, though, is a lot. That is definitely a lot. Okay, so we have we'll take the Spearmen. Copy. Okay, we'll take Spearmen, and we're going to put in the Marauders with Great Weapons. Okay, copy. V. Where's my Marauders Great Weapons? Copy. V. Whoops, this wrong. Copy. Marauder V. And copy V. All right, so let's stop that. This. Okay, so that's correct. Marauders, Spearmen. Now we need the Polearms are the last ones to go. Copy B, and we just copy that down, and we copy this down. And these are the last two tests, and then I'll have them all for everyone versus everyone. Okay. So I would expect the Marauders with Great Weapons to beat the Spearmen and the Men-at-Arms with Polearm. But they might not. We'll see. Okay. So Marauders with Great Weapons. In the battle. In that battle. Go back to chat here real quick. Rourke Boss, when Teclis brought everyone back to Middleham, Grimgor defeat Malekith in a duel with Malekith surrounded and joined Grimgor's wall. Yeah, eventually Grimgor was killed by Arcane with cheese. Yeah, Jake, that's Storm of Chaos events. Okay, Rourke Boss, haha, yeah. Grimgor is hard not to love. He's the ugliest orc, and he'll fight anyone just to prove he's the best. Groth, it's 4 a.m. here, but Groth, I don't remember Malekith in Storm of Chaos. But it was a fan event. Okay, Groth. I think it made sense that the Greenskins stopped Chaos because Chaos never planned on it. They're not a force of order. Okay. Okay, let me see. Okay, there we go. Spearmen. Now we need Warriors of Chaos. Well, I guess we got Warriors of Chaos lined up against the Men-at-Arms with Polearm, so we'll start there and get this fight done. Then we'll have the fight versus the Spearmen, and then that'll be everyone. Everyone at 500 gold will fight everyone else, and I can rank order them based on the value that they produced. So I would expect here that the Chaos Marauders would win pretty handily. They should kick the crap out of these men-at-arms with pole arms. Yeah, they're already beating them up pretty good. Well, beat them off the charge, but now it seems even. Which that does not seem right to me, but... Oh, now they think they're winning. We'll watch. Okay, we'll watch. Jake, that was in the end times. That's a slightly different story. Groth, no, still no. You... Okay. Jake, Grimgor dies to Archaon, though. Even though he kicks him in the balls. That's, you know, if you're going to die, kicking someone in the bag, you know, if you're going to go, at least getting one of those in, is not bad. That's not bad. You know, that gets my respect. 56-16. Oops. We'll call this 50. I'm going to check it. 50. Oops. 50. 56-16. 214 seconds. So Marauders Great Weapons finished with 2509. And the Men-at-Arms finished with 1117. Okay. So the Marauders won. They only took 85 gold. Yeah, that's maybe we'll see. Okay, so 50 seconds. I'm assuming it's 50 seconds. I'm going to have to stop and just double check that. So in that battle and rematch. Okay, and on Grimgor kicked Archaon in the balls, no contest. No other outcome is possible. Groth, I'm allergic, yes. Rorgboss. But he beat Archaon without using the power of greater demons. Okay, Jake. Well, I mean, Grimgor in the end time headbutts Archaon so hard and perfect that it broke the eye of Shirian. Okay, so let's just, I almost want to make sure I stop this to make sure it's 50. Okay, it is 50. I'm just going to let it go then. Groth, he does claim he's the biggest and the best, and he's angry all the time. That isn't a metaphor for impotence, and I don't know what is, Jake. That was what made Archaon mad and unleashed the demon Azul from the Slayer of Kings. Yeah, I haven't read any of the end time stuff. The only end time stuff I know is from Lore Master of Sotek in his videos. I've not read any books or anything like that, so I don't know them all that well. But I do remember all the end time stuff that really, really irritates me. 56-52. Okay, 178 seconds. Brought up Great Weapons, 32-34. Very good performance there. Men-at-Arms, Polearms, 1074. One. Okay. And battle. Okay, a rematch. Okay. Jake Wu plus Grimgor didn't even see the demon coming. Okay. Rorgboss, he headbutted Archaon so he broke his eye, sent enraged Archaon, and just basically used the cheese of a greater demon and caught Grimnor off guard. Anon, I'm out. Hey, you have a good one, Anon. Jake, yeah, that's basically what happened in their fight. At least Grimgor died from what he liked to do the most. That's true, Jake. Agreed. You know, it's an okay, it's an okay way to go. But could have been a little more epic. It's just like it's so thematic with end times writing, is that I mean, it's just like it's like everything was phoned in. You know, they're like, okay, whatever we got to do to hurry this thing up and get on to the next phase of the next business, we just got to do it fast and get it done. So it doesn't have to be particularly epic. So they sort of phoned it in, you know. 56-26. Marauders 2049. Men at Arms Pole Arms 1025. Marauders are winning that easily, but it's a little bit swingy as far as the results go so far. But we'll see. Rematch. Work Boss, yep. And Work Boss, and he's the best. Jake, it's so damn rushed. Yeah, I agree, Jake. Just, it's frustrating. But I understand. I mean, I've been in business for a lot of years. I know, when you're in those internal meetings, you're looking at the bottom line or the accounting data and your business data, and you make a decision, you sort of commit to it, then it's like, all we got to do is find a way to get to this thing that we want, and that's how. And with writing and creative processes, I don't think that's such an easy thing to do. They're harder to rush. Work Boss, only the greater demon himself can beat him. Yeah, Work Boss. And also the way Grimgor slayed all those gigantic monsters with a couple of swings. Groth. Point of the story is that Malekith is the strongest single entity. Bite me, Maz may rearrange continents. Well, Mazdamundi may rearrange continents, but Malekith ruined the elves, the dwarves, and indirectly the Nekarans and whatnot. Work Boss, just legendary. Jake. Azul caught Grimgor completely off guard, as Grimgor was probably too busy laughing and boasting. 5634. 3196. Men at Arms with Pole Arms. 1059. What? Oh, time is at 9 o'clock. Oh, jeez Louise. This stream's been going for a while, I think. But I really want to finish this test. I gotta find out how everything lines up. But I am getting a little tuckered out. And I did stream late last night too, so. But I gotta get this. Because I want to see it. Then I can sort of get on to the next phase of testing. So we got, 3 more here, 7 more, so 10 more tests. 10 more individual battles, and I'll have them all done. Okay, let's look. Work Boss. Malekith lost the duel against Grimgor. Jake. I can imagine Archeon literally flat on the ground in disbelief and embarrassment. Work Boss. They may be equally powerful, but Malekith was more cunning and didn't want to waste energy fighting Grimgor. Okay. Groth. I don't recall that. Jake. True. Okay, 5637. 37. Marauder with great weapons. Whoops. 2605. And Men Armed with Pole Arms. 987. And we'll get end battle rematch. Groth, but Malekith is also a boss level wizard, fighter, craftsman, just because he created his own sword. Just ask his mom. Jake, the last stand, the Dwarves main Krazakrak was kind of awesome. So I guess sort of the last stand that Belagar made in the end times, I kind of like that story. Again, as told by Lore Master of Sotek, who's like my go-to lore guy. Well, Lore Master of Sotek, Indie Pride, the Book of Troye, I like. But they like do more cinematic stuff. Italian Spartacus, Arch Warhammer. Who else? There's a couple other lore channels I really like, or channels that do quite a bit of lore that I like. Jake, you must know some good channels that do lore. Like of the ones I listed, Jake, I mean, I got. Are there other real good lore channels out there? If you can list some that you know, I'd appreciate it. Because I know you know a lot of channels too. Okay, there we go. 5708. Whoops. 5708. Marauders, great weapons. 3373. Well, they did really good there. 3373. Pole arms, 1032. 153 gold. Ouch. Okay. And that battle rematch. Groth, they speak more about the dwarves when I'm running short on Dowie jokes today. Jake, yeah, but he's an Elgi and deserves an axe to the face for his treachery. That's true. Malekith also created Grombrindle. Well, okay. I you know, that is a sort of a backhanded elf thinking, I guess. You know, like Groth, to go back to a movie reference we had, that kind of thinking is exactly like Conan the Barbarian, where James Earl Jones talks to Conan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he says, "It was I who gave you this fire in your soul. It was I who gave you this." Yes. So I see the logic. I see the logic, you know. Get it short. Malekith's betrayal. Yeah, Grombrindle was previously Snorri Whitebeard, and he really essentially came back because of the betrayal. 56:36. 56:36. 194 seconds. 25:25. And we've got the pole arms 1063. And they lost all 7, lost 109 gold, which is really, this is what I would expect. Is a Men-at-Arms, Marauders with great weapons should beat the Men-at-Arms with polearms. That's the way that I think. You know, what's funny is, you know, in the forums when I was talking about who should beat who, there's lots of people who who think anti-large infantry should be able to beat just regular infantry. You know, like they say, because I said, well, you know, Dwarf Warriors with great weapons should beat High Elf Spearmen, and people said no. There's no reason High Elf Spearmen should lose to Dwarf Warriors with great weapons, and like, so, you know, this is where a lot of the basic premises that you think on. I mean, that in the forums, that's often people don't agree to anything. I mean, couldn't agree on the color of the sky, but there can be an interesting place. And I've been enjoying being on the forums for the last probably 2 months. Maybe I've been on there a month and a half. I don't know how long, but I've been enjoying it. I guess because there's been so little news in Total War Warhammer, and we've been waiting. You know, I know they're working on Game 3 and the next DLCs, and they've got people tied up with 3K and everything else like that. But, you know, so I guess that's showing that I've been a touch bored. So I've gone onto the forums to get a little bit of excitement. There's a spearman. Okay, let's start that battle. Groth only because his deathbed oath was broken. Work boss, I think. Okay, oh, just wait. Okay. Okay, let's just stop. Is it 50? Yeah, 50. So we'll call that 50. Copy. Okay, and forward. Okay, Orc Boss. I think to make Grimgor better would be increasing his mass so he's not going to get sent flying by monsters and give him a ton of anti-large. Yeah, that would make him way better. Groth. It's not actually a great thing. Jake, Snorri Whitebeard is the first ever dwarf high king and the eldest son to one of the ancestor gods. Yeah, he's like literally, he's like literally an ancestor god himself. You know, if you look at what an ancestor god is. Oracle boss, and I feel the need to be more melee defense. Yeah, Jake. It's kind of because that Broken Oath screwed both races. Yeah, that's true, Jake. Jake ended both races' golden age. That's true. Well, I better watch this. It looks like the Spearmen are going to win, but it's very close. It's very, very close. Oops. Oh my god. Super, super close. And I'm just watching the leadership because I'm waiting for one to break. Okay, high elves have broken. So the Chaos Marauders of Great Weapons win. 54-56. 54-56. Marauders of Great Weapons, 954. And High Elf Spearmen, 523. A win for the Marauders. And a win for the Marauders and pulled positive value off the High Elf Spearmen. Interesting. Okay. Quit battle. Rematch. Okay. Broth, I think some anti-large would be decent and should be decent at infantry fights. Blackguard, Phoenix Guard are, and Temple Guard are mainly, yeah. Okay. Some anti-large are decent at infantry fights. So it's true, some are. Yeah. Some are. Orc Boss, well, I can understand their point of view because historically Spears beats two-handers in formation. Orc Boss, that's true. That's true. But in the world of rock, scissors, papers, that's not how it works. Like, if we're going by history, I mean, spears are, like, why would anyone bring swords? Spears and polearms are the weapon of choice. They're cheap to make and very effective. But, you know, I get it. Historically, spears were better, but, you know, historical stuff doesn't have dragons. You know, like, how good were dragons historically, right? How good were undead zombies historically? I mean, we don't have those things, so it doesn't work. It's really the rock, scissors, papers concept of anti-large beats large. So what beats anti-large? Well, doesn't it have to be infantry? You know, that doesn't have anti-large. And then what beats infantry is a large. So it's that whole basic concept of rock, scissors, papers. And anti-large units beating spearmen, their natural counter breaks that rule. And, you know, not to say it can't be broken, but it's just counterintuitive, and particularly for new players. And I always say that, you know, things that are counterintuitive cannot exist uncriticized, because it hurts new players the most. Because the new player will take a unit thinking it's, say, going to be good in an infantry fight, and particularly good at taking out anti-large, because they'll understand the concept of rock, scissors, papers. And when they don't perform and they lose badly, not because of them, but because of something in the game they didn't know about, it's not fair. And that's what it always bothers me a great deal, and I always talk about it, that these things have to be intuitive for new players, especially For experienced players, I mean, you get experience of what units are really good at this, that, and the other, and you can justify it internally. But to make the game expansive and welcoming to new players, the first thing you got to do is make it as intuitive as possible. And a new player can understand, oh, you have anti-large infantry that's good against horses. Okay, what are horses good against? Oh, they're really good against infantry, basic infantry that aren't anti-large. Oh, okay, and what are basic infantry good at? Oh, they're really good at killing anti-large infantry. Okay, circle complete. I understand the concept. So when things violate the concept, that's when I have a real problem. Okay, 54, 56. Because it is so detrimental to new players or anyone to be, in fact. Well, another 56. Marauders are great weapons. Okay, 695. 95. And they lost. Heil Spearmen finished with 796. See defeat? Yes. Okay. Oh, I see I'm missing stuff. Okay, I'll go back to chat here. I think so. Armor is also a factor too. Jake Wu, Malekith, and Snorri Whitebeard, who would become Grombrindle in the future, fought together during the first and second invasion of Chaos in the old days. Yeah, Grombrindle isn't necessarily Snorri, though. Well, yeah, that's true. But he kind of is. Groth, End Times is not a viable source. Jake. It's his spirit, I think, brought back due to rage. Groth is purposefully left to interpretation, like the Lady of the Lake. Confirming such things ruins a lot. You see swords historically, too. Yeah, you do see swords historically, too, but in historical battles, swords are terrible. Spears are way better than swords, and not like a little better, but you could have a 3-foot sword, and it's easy enough for someone to have a 5-foot spear, and they will murder you. Like, you are not winning a fight with a 3-foot sword versus a 5-foot spear. And it is very easy to train people to use spears, whereas getting really good with the sword is actually not so easy. And you can say, yeah, you'll tap aside a spear, but it's not even easy to do that. Spears, it's a very, very compact, straightforward motion. I mean, it's easy to get a ton of power into a spear tip. Spear tips are very easy to produce because it's such a small amount of steel and with a large amount of wood, it's hard to make steel, whereas swords are very hard to produce because not only is it steel, the sword has to be really good or it'll break instantly. Whereas a spear can be pretty crappy, to be honest, and it'll still be effective. And it can break. Lots of it can break, and you can still keep using it. You know, like, that's the beauty of spears. I mean, spears are the ultimate melee weapon. The ultimate before good ranged weapons were developed. And even then, spears were still very great, and right up until even modern day. But I will say, definitely in use for the first powder weapons was bayonets. And what is a bayonet? It's just a spear. It's a version of a spear. Still very effective, although it's very short compared to a proper spear. Okay, what are these? See, oh man. Okay, so I'm just going to press play, and we'll see. The spears are really awesome, and you can make them long enough so two rows of men can defend each other very easily. 2 rows of men with swords can't defend each other at all. Swords need a lot more room. I mean, there's just like a sword is actually not a very good weapon. Okay. And for war, sword might be an interesting weapon one-on-one, but I don't think a sword's even good in that fact, because what sword is good? Like, I can't even think of one. I think they're good because they look cool, but they're not effective. 55, 19. An axe, on the other hand, is awesome. So is a hammer. Axes and hammers beat swords, spears, and everything else. Okay. Rada's great. And I'm not biased. That's just what I heard. 5519. Well, Chaos Marauders, 1,000 health. So Chaos Marauders win that one. The Spearmen have 492. And Chaos Marauders win. So this is going to be very, very close. Very, very close. Rematch. Okay, let's go back to chat. Groth. Sword, yeah. Swords took years of training. Spears take 5 minutes. Agreed. That's exactly correct. Jake, the reach. And the thing is, you can make it, if someone can handle a spear that's 5 feet long, it doesn't take much to figure out a spear that's 7 feet long. And then once you get into pole arms and you have the ability not only to poke things, but to put your spear over top of someone and hook them, and move them, hook their weapon away, that's like spears are technical weapons. Like, they really are. Like, I get it. Like, a sword is one of those things that's hard to learn and hard to master, whereas a spear is easy to learn and, easy to master. Because there's, like, you look at some of the pole arms and spear shapes out there, you wonder why they're all those weird shapes. Well, they're those shapes for hooking people. You're not for necessarily poking them. I mean, poking them to kill them is pretty good, but a lot of times you want to get your spear over top and behind them and hook their shoulder and pull them forward into you or control their body. Like, spears are very, very good weapons. But they lose to hammers and axes. I mean, everyone knows that. But they beat swords, for sure. Okay. Oh, it looks like the High Elves will win this one. We'll wait and see where their health gets. Oh, maybe not. It's just going back and forth. This is very, very close. Extremely close. Whoops. Just my eyes intently watching the leadership to see if it goes negative. Stop. Okay, so the spears win that. Let's just look at the chat. Groth, I've seen plenty of demonstrations, but spearmen had swords too. Some had short swords, yeah. But swords are very expensive weapons to make too. In terms of just their production and cost, they're ridiculous compared to spears. Jake, I do like my axes and hammers. Axes and shields, me too, Jake. Warhammer for that armor as well, yes. Groth, axes and hammers leave you open due to front-facing guard. Also, they lack finesse. Exactly, Groth. They lack finesse. Dwarfs don't have finesse. Jake, axe you can hook onto other people's shields and it packs a lot of force. Yeah, Groth. They can break shields and armors though. Hammers and axes, nothing wrong with them if you don't mind taking a shot or two on the way in. They can wreck someone pretty hard if you get close. 54 or 53. $54.53. Okay, and Chaos Marauder 674. AT Spearman 601. And that is a loss. This is a really, really close fight. Yep, it is a loss. Okay. Seed. Rematch. Jakeu, I'm just imagining a Dowie shield wall in my brain, how cool and effective they are. I hope, see, I know everyone's talking about the new 40K, a show that's going to be on, maybe it's Netflix, I can't remember. There's going to be a show. I can't wait until the technology gets there to where sort of what you see in Avatar, the technology becomes cheaper or as cheap as just a cheapo live action film. then the real golden age of fantasy is going to hit us. Right now, we're sort of there's a lot of technology and a lot of good special effects in movies, but the true golden age in movies and fantasy and TV are going to hit when the technology becomes cheap enough that you can make a quote unquote B-level movie or super cheap movie that looks as good as Avatar. And that day is coming. It's coming. It's just a matter of time. I hope I'm around for it, to be honest. Like, I hope it's, I see that day, because I would love it. Like, they tried to make a Warcraft movie, and I would never really got into Warcraft, but it was very popular. And I saw parts of the movie, and it just didn't. I know they spent a lot of money on it. It wasn't like they cheaped out on it. They spent the money, but it just did. The CG just didn't quite make it across the uncanny valley. 54, 53. But it's coming. The day where you can do that is coming. The day where, like, you see all the time, people are making, like, little movies out of this and stuff like that. The day will come when one person can make a reasonable film, a reasonable short film rather, out of characters and stuff like this. That day's coming. Chaos Marauders 1086. 1086. 54, 53. And Spearman finished with 476. So it's a win. Wow, this is really, really back and forth. And on value. So it looks like the Marauders with Grey Weapons and High Elf Spearmen are about the same value in a fight with each other. Very, very close. Extremely close. Shields fix most issues with axes, thrown as mainly benefits. Yeah, Jake, unless they're against a bunch of chariots in Total War Warhammer. Chariots. Oh, man. The irony is that in reality, a chariot is terrible. I mean, you're not going anywhere. Like how easy it is to spook a horse? Like horses are very, very vulnerable. A chariot would do one charge and it would be dead. That would be it. It's in effect an atrocious weapon, and extremely expensive, mind you, on top of being atrocious. In the lore, line breakers like giants and trolls. Yeah, line breakers are giants and trolls and squags. Yeah. Okay, I'm just gonna slow this up. A Groth. Well-trained swordsmen break trained spears if they've high morale. Also, yeah, because as soon as the ranks break more, the swords have the edge. Jake, if swordsmen get close enough range past your spear tip, you're very screwed. Groth. You lose a rank of swords as likely wounded as dead. Yeah. Groth. The swords eat the spears. Jake, unless you have a shield unit, then you can't do anything fast enough, I think. All chariots need to blow up. I agree, Jake. That's my sentiment. We are in lockstep with that idea that all chariots need to blow up. Need to, get effed and die. Okay. Spearmen are probably going to win this. Oh, no. No, this is another one down to the wire. This is one of the closest fights between two very different units that I've ever seen. To be perfectly honest. I don't think I've ever seen a fight quite this close between units so far apart. I mean, look, every battle, they're both wavering at the very end. And down to sort of that 1,000 hit point mark. High Elves. Marauders win, 55-13. Oh, the Marauders finally won 2 in a row. 914 health. And Spearmen finished with 559. But their gold is very, very close. Very close. Quit battle. Rematch. Groth. Celts made good use of chariots similar to Romans. They're good for stable, fast platform for range. I agree. For range, for sure. Not for running over infantry. Like, you know, people are surprisingly hard to run over. Especially big groups of them. It would mess that chariot up so fast. Like, the human body can break wood pretty easily. You know, that chariot would just get absolutely wrecked if it tried to run over a group of people. It'd get stuck, and the horses would get killed and chopped up, and the riders would get knocked off. Like, how the hell would you stand on one of those things? It'd be hard to stand on a chariot running at full speed if you weren't running, even if you weren't running over people, because just all the bumps and stuff like that. You know, but to go something that would be fast to get to a spot, unleash some arrows, or to be mobile to harass, I could see chariots being quite good. Sure. And, you know, doing that kind of thing. Roth, ignore composite bow Mongolians. Modern composite bows are banned in some archery sports. Yeah, I thought it was the Mongols had the recurve bow, Groth. I thought that was the big thing that the Mongols had, was those short recurve bows. Was, aside from their prowess on a horse, I thought it was the recurve bow that they had, or am I wrong? Are they gonna win? Spearmen got to take more health off. They might. It looks like the spearmen are gonna win this. Oh, wow, so it's back and forth again. For leadership. There's a wavering like crazy. Okay. How much you got? 725. Oh man, that's really, really close. Okay. Okay, well, they won three of the last three. 55-11. 55-11. Okay. Guess Marauders finished with 909. And the Heil Spearmen finished with 496. And that was a win. So despite that being close, why is this up? Okay, there we go. Despite that being close, where is it? Ah, here it is. Okay, there we go. Despite that being really close, in terms of gold, it's only 13.7 gold between them. The Marauders did win 5 out of 7 for 71%. Really, really close. Okay, so now need to go up here. Just insert rows. Oops. Insert rows. Okay, so I need, what do I need? We need Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. No, that's not what I need. Okay, I need Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. No. X. Maybe do I do the analysis on a different page? Probably. So I'm just going to make a new insert sheet. New sheet. After current sheet. Okay. There we go. So Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. And we'll go nasty. What do we got? Oops. That's not what I want. I want this page. Okay, we want Marauders with great weapon. Oh, the Heil Spearmen. So we then want Heil Spearmen. I'm going to do analysis. Call this analysis. Okay. Okay. Then I want Heil Spearmen. Spearmen and then copy this over here. And then what did I have next? Marauder with great weapons. Great weapons. Copy. Put that there. Okay. And then after that we have Nasty Skulkers. Nasty Skulkers. V. And the last two. Nasty Skulkers. So we have Crypt Ghouls and then Men at Arms, right? Crypt Ghouls and Men at Arms pole arms. Okay. So Crypt Ghoul. Copy. V. And Men at Arms. Men at pole. Okay. Men at Arms. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna do pole arms. Good enough. Okay. V. Okay, so Dwarf versus Spears. First one. Dwarf. We go Dwarf versus High Spearman. Minus 22.4. So we'll do copy. So I should do minus 22.4. So now let's go minus 22.4. And Spears versus Dwarf Warriors, 22.4. There we go. And I'm just going to take all of this and center it so I can make it look like I want it. So Marauders, great weapons. Marauders with great weapons. Yeah, they kicked the crap out of Dwarf Warriors great weapons. So minus 101.9 gold. Minus 101.9. Minus 101.9. And we'll call this 101.9. Nasty Skulkers. Nasty Skulkers minus 148.6. Minus 148.6. Minus 148.6. And this will be 148.6. Crypt Ghouls. Whoops. Crypt Ghouls. Crypt Ghouls, where are they? Minus 34.6. Minus 34.6. And then pole arms. Minus 49.7. Minus 49.7 on the gold. So 49.7. 49.7. You can see here the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons didn't pull positive value against any of these guys, and they lost incredibly badly to the Nasty Skulkers and Marauders with great weapons. So you could argue that that's reasonable. I would think versus the Crypt Ghouls, the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons should win. The Crypt Ghouls don't have armor piercing, so they can't deal with the Dwarf armor, and the Dwarf armor piercing is wasted on the Crypt Ghouls. But Dowie infantry should be better than undead infantry at the same price for what that is, I think. Now, you could upvalue great weapons over the Crypt Ghouls, but you know, Dwarf Warriors should be able to beat the Crypt Ghouls, pole arms, and spears in terms of value. Marauders should beat the Dwarf Warriors great weapons, and I think the Marauders should be better value than the Nasty Skulkers, but that's me. So let's keep on going. So we're going to go down here, and the next thing is the Crypt Ghouls versus the Spearmen. Crypt Ghouls took 102.6 gold versus the Spearmen. Crypt Ghouls, they say 106.2 versus the Spearmen. Minus 106.2. Oh, 102.6. Whoops. 102.6. And it's minus 102.6. I'm going to do a sum here. equals sum that, and I'm just going to do this, and we'll just bold that, make it all colored light blue. Okay, we'll do yellow, gray. Okay. Okay. All right. So, black, 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 black. All right. There we go. So, just save that. And we got Crypt Ghouls versus Marauders of Great Weapons. The Crypt Ghouls were positive 52.2. Positive 52.2. Crypt Ghouls, positive 52.2. And the Marauders of Great Weapons, minus 52.2. Okay. Crypt Ghouls versus Nasty Skulkers. Crypt Ghouls, minus 12. So the Crypt Ghouls lost to the Nasty Skulkers, 12 gold. So Crypt Ghouls minus 12 gold to the Skulkers, minus 12.0. Minus 12.0. Crypt Ghouls, minus 12. And the Nasty Skulkers to the Crypt Ghouls, 12. And then the pole arms, they kicked the crap out of the pole arms, I think. Yeah, 163.5. 163.5. 163.5. The pole arms to Crypt Ghouls, minus 163.5. Okay, and we'll go to Nasty Skulkers versus Spearmen. Nasty Skulkers won heavily versus Spearmen, 148.3. Nasty Skulkers versus Spearmen, 148.3. 148.3. 148.3. And minus 148.3. Minus 148.3. Okay. Is that correct? Yeah, 148.3. And versus the Marauders with Great Weapons, the Nasty Skulkers lost, but they won gold. So they're positive 45.2 gold there. Nasty Skulkers, positive 45.2. The Marauder with Great Weapons, versus minus 45.2. Minus 45.2. And we got the Nasty Skulkers versus Polearms next. Yes. 168.9. Wow. 168.9. 168.9. Minus 168.9. Okay. Now we go to Spearman versus the Polearm. The Spearman was positive 113.3. Spearman versus the Polearm, positive, what did I say? 113.3. 13.3. 113.3. Spear versus polearm. Is that correct? Yes. Minus 113.3 for the polearms to the spears. Minus 113.3. And then we've got Marauder with Great Weapons versus Spearmen. And the Marauders with Great Weapons pulled 13.7 gold out of that. Marauders with Great Weapons versus Spearmen. Did I say 13.7? 13.7. Spearmen minus 13.7. And then we've got the Polearms versus the Marauders with Great Weapons, the last one. Marauders with Great Weapons versus the Polearms pulled 109.9. 109.9. 109.9. Minus 109.9. Okay, so I'm just going to save that. So if we look here, the unit in this is all the infantry fight that lost the most gold was the polearms at 505 gold total. Then it was the Dwarf Warriors of Great Weapons, second at 357. The only unit that the polearms pulled positive gold against was the Dwarf Warriors of Great Weapons. Then the next was the High Elf Spears. Interesting. High Elf Spears, minus 128 gold. And the top two with a top one, or top three, Nasty Skulkers were the tops at 523 gold, and the tops by a long shot. Then Crypt Ghouls at 340 gold, and then Marauders of Great Weapons at 128. Interesting. So I'm just going to copy this down. Copy this. V. And I'm just going to do this. I'm going to go sort. Data. Sort. Column HI. Okay. I want this other way. Data. Sort. Descending. So there we go. Nasty Skulkers 1, Crypt Ghouls 2, Marauders of Great Weapons 3, High Elf Spears 4, Dwarf Warriors of Great Weapons 5, Polearms 6. So that's sort of how it lands up. When you look at them all fighting each other, and this is an infantry engagement, right? In an infantry engagement, I would think the Dwarf Warriors of Great Weapons would do very well because of that armor. But they would... so I would actually say what I would expect is... what I think it should be is Nasty Skulkers in this particular fight. Nasty Skulkers and Marauders of Great Weapons might be 1 and 2 anyways. Then the Dwarf Warriors of Great Weapons. Then the Crypt Ghouls. Then the Spears. Then the Polearms last. The Polearms are probably where they should be. They are armor-piercing anti-large. They're probably where they should be in an infantry fight. So when we go and look at the testing on other things, like I am going to do testing against single entity models with all of these units. I'm going to do testing against chariots. I'm going to do testing against cavalry and two different types of... I'm going to do it against depth guard and war dancers. So I can sort of get a feel for how everything lays out. Because I have some assumptions that I'm making, and we'll see if they actually ring true. So just in all fight all at 500 gold, I mean, there's a pretty big difference between the top Nasty Skulkers and the bottom Polearms. I think a lot of people would expect. The Crypt Ghouls were way better than I thought they would be. And Marauders of Great Weapons performed okay. High Elf Spears, not great, but they are an anti-large unit with a silver shield. Dwarf Warriors of Great Weapons even below that, and just barely above the Bretonnian anti-large armor piercing. So, interesting. Okay, so I'm going to go... just a second, I better look at chat. I've been intently looking at this for a bit. Okay. Groth, they might be recurve. Okay, Jake, if they were shot at normal Gromrill equipment and armor, it would pierce and shred through it. Okay, Groth, but they were certainly something. Groth, Gromrill should get a buff in game, in my opinion. Gromrill and Chaos armor is pretty good too, to be honest. Jake, they need to add a lot of runes. Jake, that's the biggest thing, is they need runes. Zach, hey Sue. Hey Zach, how's it going? Groth, maybe 15% physical resistance and 10% missile. The other way around, I don't know. Jake, Sue, I'm going to go to bed now. See you next time. You have a good one, Jake. Have a good one. Go to sleep. 4:39 in the UK. Get some sleep, friend. Groth, it's almost 5 a.m. You got to go. Go, Groth. Get some sleep. Jake, oh no. One more question before I fall asleep. Jake, where do you live, Sue? I'm in Canada, Jake. I'm in Canada. Oh, Groth, he's Canadian. Okay, Jake. Thanks. See, good. Have a good one, Jake. Zach, the Marauders with Great Weapons beat standard Dwarf Warriors. I believe they do, but I can test it. Zach, do Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons trade favorably to anything in their price range? The answer is no. Skulkers should not be Crypt Ghouls. So, here is the thing. Skulkers don't beat Crypt Ghouls generally, but they lose value to them. No, Skulkers take value from Crypt Ghouls. But in terms of all this, like, that's just how they laid up in terms of total value. So this is one piece of the puzzle. I have a lot more testing I'm going to do, Zach, because this is just a small piece. and you're using Chaos Marauders or Norskin. I'm using Chaos Marauders, so I don't have to worry about that Norskin bit. And because I'm using everything that's precisely 500 gold, Zach. So Nasty Skulkers are 500 gold, Crypt Ghouls are 500 gold, Marauders, Great Weapons are 500 gold, High Elf Spears are 500 gold, Dwarf Warriors, Great Weapons are 500 gold, and Bretonnian Men-at-Arms, Polearms are 500 gold. And my assertion is that Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons are underperforming. And so this is the first test, just to look at other units that are in that 500 gold range. Now the next set of tests I'm going to do is I'm going to look at all of these units versus Depth Guard. That's where the Dowie should really perform, because Depth Guard have no AP, and they have good armor. So the Dwarf Warriors have AP and good armor, so they should do really good against Depth Guard. Like, they should beat Nasty Skulkers against Depth Guard, everything. And, like in Depth Guard have fear. Like this should be a no-brainer. Dwarfs, because Dwarfs have good leadership and everything else. So Dwarfs against Depth Guard should show up on top. Where Dwarfs should do really poor in this list is against War Dancers, because War Dancers have armor piercing and no shields and no armor. So, but I still think even against War Dancers, Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons should show up ahead of High Elf Spears and Polearms. But you could argue that Crypt Ghouls, Nasty Skulkers should do better than Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons. But they should show up sort of on this list, I think, 4th out of 6. But I'm going to do that. So this is just the first test in a line of tests. But I just wanted to get it done and just get the baseline for all these units versus each other. I don't even know if it means that much of anything, but it's just a piece of information. That's all it is, really. And then once I get more of the rest of the testing sort of done, I'll be able to build out this analysis. Okay, what do each of these units show up? And then I'll kind of say this is where the units show up. And this doesn't even count. So this is just a straight up infantry fight too. It's not accounting for the fact that Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons take forever to kill anything. Because this is another giant weakness that not enough, I don't think there's enough discussion about. But I can show, the Dwarf Warriors they lost to the High Elf Spearmen on average in terms of total health, and it took 463 seconds. That's a lot of time. 8 minutes almost. And, Dwarf Warriors Great Weapons lost to the Marauders. I guess losing and having it take a long time is not the end of the world. But they didn't beat anyone. So the Crypt Ghouls, though, beat the Spearmen, and they did it. The Spearmen lasted for 274 seconds. So good for the Spearmen for lasting. Crypt Ghouls beat the Marauders in 69 seconds. So this is one of the things, like, you look at the Dwarfs' net amount of time to beat anything, and maybe I should do that, is how long does its average battle last? Because, this gold per minute ratio and looking at those kind of things are important in terms of evaluating a unit's performance in the battlefield. So I might go over here and say add, how long did this fight take? Because not only are they, the units, when I add up their average fight length, the Dwarf Warriors Great Weapons do take a very long time to get that fight finished. For a unit that should be a little bit more aggressive as opposed to defensive. Like, Dwarf Warriors with shields are the defensive unit. Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons should be more offensive. And they don't kill things very fast, and they don't perform very well, which is my sort of assertion. Okay, so that'll be this live stream. We'll cut it there, and I'll go see what went on in the world in the last 4 hours. I think I've been streaming for 4 hours. How long have I been streaming? Quite some time. I'm not really sure, but it's been a while. 3 hours and 54 minutes. Holy crap. So it has been a while. So we'll end the stream at almost nearly 4 hours. We've got some testing done, and we got our first set of results in, though they don't mean a whole lot. They're just for interest's sake. I think the really meaningful results start to come once we test against units that the Dwarf Warriors with Great Weapons should be optimal against. Because against the units that they should be optimal against, I would expect them to be, they should be tops, and they might be. Maybe I'll find out that I've just been mistaken all this time. And Dwarf Warriors with great weapons are really maybe not a great unit, but not a bad unit. So, are not a unit in need of any type of buffs or anything like that. But anyways, that's the stream. Thanks for everyone who joined me. Thank you so much, for keeping me company while we're doing this testing. I do appreciate it. These testing for me is just something to relax and have fun, and you guys have made it great. So I really, really do appreciate it. So have a good one, and I'll see you next time.